Welcome to the launch of FPL ahead of the 2022-23 season. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are going to be making a first draft live on stream. What you can see here is literally just an auto pick. And I know a lot of fuss has always kind of kicked about the team ID. To be honest, I don't really care, but mine's in the kind of 35,000 mark, which isn't too bad. I think last season it was in the 4 million mark, so much better for sure, and maybe a much better start to the season, hopefully, but let's wait and see. I'm going to be making a draft, like I said, live on stream. I want to see what you guys and girls are also doing, so let me know in the live chat. Let's try to get this stream to 100 likes first of all, and then we can build up from that, and let's try to get to 15,000 subscribers. We are making strides there, so thank you very much, and let's just get straight into it really. So maybe a bit of a surprise. I think the longer the day went on, most of us were thinking it's not going to be today, is it? But it actually ended up being the case. Around 4 p.m. maybe it launched, so you could say I'm a bit late actually. I had everything set up, even the stream and everything, you know, on YouTube. This maybe caught a lot of us by surprise, but here we are, and we're going to be covering it, so thank you very much. Welcome Jeff, welcome Aidan, the Flying Dutchman. Welcome to everyone here, Kobe as well. I want to pronounce that name, but I don't want to butcher it, so yeah, apologies for that, but welcome, you're very much appreciated. Be sure to drop your team IDs in the chat, guys, seems to be important. Yes, and actually, he kind of reminded me, even though it's not the same thing, on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see the new league, so 86EX3J. However, if you were already in the league last season, just by logging into the same account, you automatically are in the league because I've renewed it from last season. So for any of you who are new to the channel or weren't actually a part of the league last season, be sure to join as well. So let's actually get that on screen. I might have to use a different one. I think that's pretty fine. So yeah, be sure to join this league that you can see here. And yeah, just be part of the membership. I've already seen quite a lot of people in the league already, so that's really good to see. I'm not sure exactly how much, I didn't count, but it's great to see so many of you here already. And I think 60,000, it's probably rising by this point, have already signed up to FPL. But yeah, the membership base is growing. Maybe we're going to hit 10 million for the first time. Let's wait and see. It will take a bit of a while though, maybe in the mid-season, which is when we kind of find that kind of thing. But here we go. I'm not going to captain Richarlison, by the way, or vice captain a goalkeeper, and a lot of these players won't be in my actual draft, so don't worry. And stuff like benching Jamie Vardy just doesn't make any sense. We'll be covering that very soon. So welcome Harry. Yeah, it is a terrible team. It is. Don't worry, I'm definitely not going for that. Raya, Cancelo, Trent, Chilwell, Perisic, Saka, Rafinha, Neto, Salah captain, Tony, Haaland, bench, Steele, Tomiyasu, Greenwood, Reed. Thoughts? Really good. And by the way, something we've been talking a lot about in the last few days, and yeah, this is what All Sports fan Adam is saying, there are some 4.5 million forwards and midfielders. Maybe I was a bit too pessimistic. I just didn't see any, so I was like, oh, well, are we going to even get any? It's good to see some, and I think their ownership is going to actually be very high because they're going to be really good enablers as a result. Yes, I'll be checking that in a second, Manish. So yeah, really good team, Marcus, to be honest. With Rafinha, obviously really good price for him, but is he going to be at Leeds? Is he going to be in the Premier League? Those are some big questions, but in terms of those players you have there, I mean, they're fantastic, to be honest. I also like having Tomiyasu on the bench, so you've got a bit of squad depth there. Not many complaints. I am actually less keen on Tony now with the departure of Eriksen imminent to Man United, so I'd be a bit concerned of that. The rest, though, looks very, very solid. So welcome Mazen, good to see you. No Salah, don't worry. I mean, am I really going to start a season with a midfield like this? Richarlison captain when he's got a suspension for the first game of the season? No. So let's actually just get straight into it. I don't want to confuse people and show like a really poor draft. It's literally just an auto pick. So I'm going to do this on stream. I'm going to also try to answer all your questions and comments as always. That is the aim. So hopefully we can meet that. So I also want your opinions, your feedback. I also like this kind of back and forth. We can build this team together and hopefully make it somewhat decent. The goalkeepers actually is something I've been talking about in the past few days. I'm actually not that convinced or sure about it because you could go for a 4.5 million like Raya, who's probably the standout in that price bracket. And at 5 million, you've got Mendy, Ramsdale, Pope, Martinez. I really like all of them. But then at 5.5, you've got Lloris and Alisson and Edison. So I think all of those goalkeepers is what I've kind of narrowed it down to. But that's still a lot of goalkeepers to choose from. So I think I might kind of not... I'm going to leave the goalkeeper for last. I'm just going to put a 4 million one to start off. But in terms of, you know, who's going to be my main keeper, I'm going to wait a little bit. I think Caballero would stand out. He's got a chance of getting some minutes there. But really, there's no standout. Darlow in the past would have been pretty good at 4 million. But now you've got Nick Pope and Martin Dubravka who are ahead of him in the pecking order. So Newcastle have some good squad depth. And will Darlow even be at Newcastle next season? Who knows, to be honest. So Caballero is just there. But honestly, we're just going to wait for the goalkeepers for now. In terms of the strikers, I think... Let's just do it logically. We'll start with the defenders. Let's just do it that way. Let's not overcomplicate it too much. Trent Alexander-Arnold or Robertson. I've said this before. One of them's going to make it into my draft, I think. And at the moment, I am going for Trent. Having said that, since Gameweek 13 until Gameweek 38, Robertson was definitely the better pick of the two. So I don't think it's an easy decision, and you could even have both. But ultimately, I think there's just so much value across the defence in other teams that I think one's enough, and I'm going to go for Trent. Also really interesting to see the prices of players like Laporte and Matip, which weren't confirmed the other day with the price reveals. 6 million for both. I think that's fair. Both of them in the top 6 pretty much for the highest scoring defenders. Both the exact same, which is something I've been talking about. You know, that is a possibility. And that's a fair pricing, to be honest. And as I've said all along, really, it's the forwards that have been very overpriced this year. The defenders, some of them very cheap like Trent, they should be higher. The midfielders actually really like the pricing for most of them. But yeah, some forwards, as we'll get onto later on, very, very poor pricing in my opinion. Let's try to go through some questions though. Hopefully I can get through these. So, how do I see my team ID? Mine only says my team instead of the usual number. In terms of finding your team ID, the best way to do it is to go to the FPL website. So, I'm going to show you an example here. And then on the right hand side, you're not going to see it in my screen right now, but on the right hand side of FPL, you're going to see stuff like My Team's Kit, Fan League. What you want to do actually is view Game Week history. I think that is what it is. Yeah, Game Week history, it's at the top. So right next to where it says Game Week 1 and the deadline here, which I've highlighted, on the right, it will say your team name, your overall name, you know, points, rank, players, Select Game Week history. And then from that, in the URL, you're going to be able to see a number, copy and paste that number. That is your team ID. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, that is pretty much how you get your team ID. If you're on the app, it's going to be more difficult. So I would recommend going on the browser, whether it's on your phone or on a laptop. What's better, Ramsdale and Johnny, Mendy and Tomiyasu, or Ramsdale and Tomiyasu? I really like all of them, Jeff. I think it's probably between Mendy and Tomiyasu and Ramsdale and Tomiyasu. I'm not a huge fan of doubling up on Arsenal defence. And with Chelsea, I'd rather double up with Chilwell and James. But if I had to pick, it's probably Mendy and Tomiyasu. It's a really difficult one. I think Ramsdale could score more points because of the saves and bonus. Yeah, I'm going to pick some players first, Mazen. Yes, I will do. But yeah, that is true. I'm guessing you're replying to the other comment, which is true, actually. Yeah, that is right. Welcome, Chu. Good to see you. Limited to 20 transfers per game week. Yeah, that's also a way of combating all the hacking. Really good stuff, to be fair. 2-factor authentication as well. Thank you, Harry, by the way. I really appreciate this. I really like these kind of comments. Early suggestion for you, Dylan. Nathan Patterson, 4 million defender. Absolutely going to face Seamus Coleman out. Speaking as an Everton fan. Really like that suggestion. If I do go for a kind of 4 million defender, I'm definitely going to have him in mind. And I'll give you a shout out if I ever kind of suggest him in the videos. So I really appreciate that, Harry. I'm going to also do some kind of background research because I'll be honest, I haven't really heard too much about him. Thank you, Ryan, by the way. Yes, the UCL content will probably be arriving in a month or two. And I'll try to do some different types of videos like at the beginning of last season. So a kind of first draft, of course, how to play guide potentially. The same goes for FPL, but I really appreciate that. When do player price changes come to effect? I think I was asked this question yesterday, and pretty much as always, after the Game Week 1 deadline passes, that's when the market starts to fluctuate. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself and I'll provide you with an update, but I'm fairly certain that's the case. It always has been. I would have got Cucurella if he isn't going City. To be honest though, I do like him as an option, even when he goes to City. The problem is there will be rotation with Cancelo and then also Walker as a result. I don't think I'll be picking Mendy. It blocks a third Chelsea spot, which might become a nuisance. Fair enough. I think the kind of template Chelsea free will be James Chilwell and Mason Mount. Welcome, Callum. Good to see you. Are we going to have to choose people from the bench to first team if you're one of the first team isn't good? Wait, 1 second. Sorry, my brain's all over the place right now. Let me try to do this. Are we allowed to have chosen people from the bench to first team if you're one of the first team isn't good? In terms of like taking someone out and substituting them, you can't do that. No kind of mega rule changes like that. It's pretty much the same as it was last season in most cases. My team for now: Pope, James, Cancelo, Trent, Cash, Perisic, Salah, Son, Neto, Martinelli, Tony. Really good. A few concerns about Neto, Martinelli, especially Martinelli and his minutes. Tony I'm a bit less keen on, but honestly, that's literally nitpicking. It's a solid draft, and a lot of people are having a very similar kind of backline with a City defender, Trent, Perisic. I like the Cash move, actually. I really like that. It makes you stand out a little bit. And you've got Salah and Son, and that's what I really like and what really sets you apart from the rest, Holden. So I do like that. Yes, Liam, I definitely think so. Diaz is certainly one of the better Liverpool options. However, you could argue that Robertson, around the same price or a bit cheaper actually, is even better, but then it also prevents you from having maybe a Chelsea wing-back or Cancelo, etc. But yes, Diaz is a good option. It's just, in isolation, I would say Trent, Robertson and Salah are even better. What do you think about Rashford? I think he's actually very promising at 6.5 million. I really like it, and I have a feeling he's going to start the season in the starting 11, and that would be very promising at that price. I'm going to read that team, by the way, by All Sports Fan Adam, and then I'm going to go back into making my draft, really. Mendy, Chilwell, James, Tomiyasu, Trent, Cancelo, Salah, Kulusevski, Neto, Jesus, Haaland. Yeah, bench 4.5 million. Yeah, that makes sense. Fair enough. And just trying to think. Yeah, I'm going to have to do even more research to see if there's any potential game-breaking 4.5 million midfielders or forwards, but I doubt that's going to be the case. But as for the starting 11 specifically, I really like it. In terms of Kulusevski, I've said this yesterday when the prices were revealed. I'm not as keen on him as I was last season because I think his minutes will be slightly reduced, but definitely kind of locked in and nailed on for Game Week 1 for sure. And it's a great team overall. So I'm going to go back to the creation of the draft, and there's also going to be a kind of separate video talking about kind of like the first official team, because I want to break down each player individually in detail and just doing it in a video format. So that's probably going to come out at some point this week. If not, I'll let you guys know. But Trent is in the team, so we've made a bit of progress. I'm going to go for Cancelo for now, but I am also considering other players like Laporte, Diaz, Cucurella if he joins. Kyle Walker at 5 million is also intriguing for now, but I would be concerned about him in the long term. So I think, look, I don't want to be boring. I actually haven't checked any kind of drafts since the game has been launched, but I can assume that a lot of us will have a very similar backline. So yeah, we're going to go for a Chelsea fullback. I think James and Chilwell, I know I got this question yesterday, who would you pick out of the two? It's 50-50 for me, honestly, but maybe Reece James, just because Ben Chilwell is coming off the back of a very long-term injury, but both of them have had their fair share of injury problems throughout the last season. So I'm going for something like this. I think Perisic is very interesting, but I want to make this kind of counter-argument about Perisic. I really like the price. He scored, I think, 8 goals and 7 assists last season, and I saw actually a tweet, I'm not sure who it was by, where he probably would have scored 200 plus FPL points with bonus points included, and that's incredible, obviously. And if he does anywhere near that this season, he's going to be a very popular option. But the counter argument is that he could have some rotation with Sessegnon, especially if a Champions League game, a very big one, is on the horizon, and they need to find, just kind of opportunities to rest Perisic. That could be the case. I'm not saying this for certain, but just bear in mind it is a possibility. So this is a really good way of covering the top 4 teams of last season: Liverpool, City, Chelsea and Spurs. Who would be the 5th defender? Now, this could be a bit of a difference. You could go really big at the back and go for Ben Chilwell, and I am considering it, or go a bit cheaper, go for someone like Harry said. I'm going to try to get the name up again. Nathan, let's get it up again. I didn't want to butcher it, so thank you, Harry, once again. Nathan Patterson. If not, Tomiyasu at 0.5 million more would be pretty interesting, and he's very, very popular. I'm going to go for something like this for now, but I am considering going even bigger at the back. But just be aware that you don't need to spend that much money on the back line. So something like this for now. And let me know what you think of this defence. What changes would you make, and how is your team looking like? Let me go through the rest of the questions as well that I haven't been able to answer. The history won't show unless you select players. Yeah, that's a good point that I failed to mention. So try to make a team first, even just auto-pick. Don't worry, you can make unlimited transfers before Game Week 1, so that isn't an issue. Yeah, Martin, a team ID is just a way of identifying your team basically and separating it from the rest. It's just a number which you will see in the URL code, or the URL should I say, when you go to view game week history. But you need to make a team first, as Mazen rightly says. How soon Patterson phases Coleman out? That's a great question. I need to do more research on that myself. Harry will definitely know. It could be more of a gradual thing though, if you're thinking about it logically. Coleman obviously is a bit of a cult hero at Everton, but he is getting on a bit. He's nowhere near the level he was, for example, 5-6 years ago. But it's a really good shout by Harry, I have to say. For wildcard, unlimited or only 20 transfers allowed? For wildcard, I'm fairly sure it's always unlimited transfers. Actually, something that I need to mention is that, yes, we're getting the usual 2 wildcards, but we also have one for the World Cup break, which is in November, I think between game week 16 and 17. So we're pretty much, in essence, going to have 3 wildcards, and we have unlimited transfers right now, which is pretty good to see. And I think that's, pretty good. Actually, though, I need to double check this, by the way. I think the chips are pretty much the same as last season, and I'm a bit disappointed with the bench boost still being there, but there we go. Do you think Cancelo's a must-have choice? I don't think he's must-have, but I would try, if possible, to squeeze in a City defender, whether it's Laporte, Diaz, Cancelo, Cucurella if he does join. And Cancelo is definitely the best of the lot, but no, I don't think he's must-have. I'd have said ASAP, but Patterson just came back from a long injury. Fair enough. Thank you for that as well. He plays regularly for Scotland, though, and Lampard wants to create a youthful team. Yeah, that is a really good point as well. A lot of impetus put on the likes of Gordon. And yeah, I think that's a really good shout by you, Harry. And it's also good for Everton in the long term. In the last few years, you could say they've had the opposite approach. It is good to see youth being given a chance, and I'm definitely going to keep an eye on Patterson, and thanks to you for that as well. Is Haaland a must-own? Once again, just like with Cancelo, I don't think he's a must-own, and honestly, I wouldn't really say for most of these players they are must-own per se. I talked about this as well yesterday, I think. So I would have one of Trent or Robertson, but that doesn't mean one of them is a must-have for sure, because Robertson will be lower owned, but will also get a similar amount of points. So one of those 2 I would try to get in. Almost a must-have to have a Liverpool fullback, basically. Same with a Chelsea wing-back, James or Chilwell. You don't need both, and you don't necessarily need one over the other, but having one of them at least would definitely be a really good way to build a platform for the rest of the season. But having said that, you can cover Chelsea with Mendy in goal. Not my preference, but still. That's why with a lot of these defenders, and also in your case, you're asking about Haaland, I don't think so. But if you're asking me who would I go for, KDB, who's obviously proven, probably the best player in the Premier League, or Haaland, I think Haaland will be a better FPL asset, but that's just a kind of personal opinion, and I could be wrong. Haaland still needs to adapt to the league, and let's wait and see if he does so. My verification email won't come. What do I do? I wouldn't worry too much in terms of verification email, but yes. In terms of the context, let me know. So was this when you first logged in into this new FPL launch and this new version of the game? Because I haven't actually had that issue, I think. I don't even think I've received an email. It also could be a kind of a matter of your I think it's called preferences, your email preferences, and sometimes it might be unticked. But honestly, I just want to know a bit more about your issue before I can give a better answer, basically. I'm surprised Diaz and Laporte are the same ownership. Yeah, but it's very early days in terms of ownership. I wouldn't pay too much attention, but well, look at that, 14.3%, yeah? Laporte was definitely the better option last season, but if they start the same amount of games, I think it's actually quite similar what they're going to score, and both of them offer really good value. Thank you, Ori. It's definitely great to be back here again streaming. Let's try to go through all of these as quickly as possible as well. My team must be the most template ever. Mendy, Chilwell, James, Robertson, Trent, Cancelo, Salah, Rashford, Grealish, Neto, Haaland. I think quite a few of those are template picks, so to speak, but you do have triple Chelsea defence. I'm not a big fan of triple Chelsea defence. I think 2 is enough, and I'd go for Chilwell and James. But then again, that could separate you from the rest, and if Chelsea have a great start to the season, you could go ahead as a result. You also have Rashford, who I don't think is going to be highly owned, or at least not at the moment. Grealish as well is going to be a bit of a differential. So actually, you've got a few differences there. Haaland, Neto, Salah, Trent, Cancelo, etc. They're quite, I'd say, template. But even Trent and Robertson, I haven't seen those two a lot in the kind of drafts I've seen over the last few weeks, but like I said, today haven't seen anything. Welcome, Tez. I'm doing well. What about you? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, check junk, other mail. That's also a really good suggestion. Yeah, I'd always do that in general. You sometimes could miss a really important email. Welcome, Harish. Good to see you. What do you think about Eriksen? I think he will be a decent option if he joins United, but I actually prefer him at Brentford. Let me actually check his price, because some of these prices, by the way, I haven't seen. This is literally the first time I've logged in. I only did the auto pick and set up the screens for this stream, but honestly, I've still quite new, let's say, to some of these prices. So let's get Eriksen's price. Is it 6 million? 1 second. Hopefully I can actually get it. Is he not on it? That is interesting. Have I missed something? Surely Eriksen's in the game. I think because... No, I don't think he's in the game then. Yeah, let me know. I think I might have gotten that confused, but yeah, I just don't see Eriksen in here. Yeah, there you go. No, I don't see him. So yeah, he just didn't choose to sign for Brentford, basically. So yeah, it makes sense why he's not there. For some reason, I thought he was going to be there. I think he's going to be 6 million. Maybe get a bit of a price hike because he's going to a bigger team per se. A bit like Richarlison, and I said this before. I think he should be priced at 7.5, but I think he's actually going to be between 8 to 8.5 because he went to Spurs, and lo and behold, he is 8.5. Let me make a bit of progress with this team before answering the rest of your questions, which I'd love to do, of course. I think Salah, look, the main reason why I'm going to pick him isn't because of ownership, but because of how well he tends to start the season. 31% ownership is actually decent, but I think this number will increase naturally as we get closer to game week 1. Heung-min Son, only 6.5% ownership. Now, I really like him for that ownership, but it shouldn't be the kind of only reason why you pick a certain player. But I have to say that ownership is very tempting for Heung-min Son. Keep an eye out for him. Yes, he's 12 million, but he only scored 7 points fewer than Salah, who cost 1 more million. So that is an incredible price for him. I think it's going to be a case, if I'm looking for 8 million midfielder, between Diaz, Saka and maybe Foden for the time being. I really like Maddison and Mount long term, but for the opening portion of the season, I think I might go for one of those other free 8 million midfielders I just mentioned. Who are you preferring, by the way? Saka, Diaz, Foden, maybe someone else? Let me know. I think I'm going to go for Diaz for now, but still a bit apprehensive because I think his goal output certainly could be better, and I think he will improve this season, by the way, but it's not like I think he's an absolute must-have. And by the way, what do you think of these kind of graphics that FPL have for their website? I think they're pretty decent. It's something quite refreshing as well. So yeah, it's not too bad, actually. Let's see if there's anything else, actually, in the chat. Yes, Alexa, this is the real price. This is the real game. The game has launched, so you can do that. Yeah, I'd highly recommend making a draft if you want. Just don't overdo it and overthink it too much. But yes, this is all official prices. All official prices. Picking the right 4.5 million midfielder could be as crucial as clicking a third of your team. Yeah, no, look, every part helps. Of course, it's not going to be as important as the main players in your starting 11, but it's still really important. Yeah, Roger, if he's not in the team. Yeah, free agent, exactly, Ayub, exactly. Yeah, Yusuf, in terms of your team ID, basically, once you make a team, that's the really important thing. You have to make a team first. Then you go to the kind of, let me just show you once again. So when you go to the kind of pick a team section, on the right-hand side, just next to where it says the deadline, which is the 5th of August, by the way, it will be a thing where it says your name, it will show your flag, it will say points, rank, players. Let me actually show you on screen so I can give you a better example. So here, let me just highlight it for you. For any of you who want your team ID, this section here, which I've just highlighted, click on Gameweek History. Once you do, in the URL, so the link that you see at the top of your screen in your browser, there will be a number. Then you can copy and paste that number and you will be able to have your team ID. So that is the way you can get it. So hopefully that covers it for you. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in, by the way. Like I said, let's try to get this stream to 100 likes. I haven't seen how we're progressing in that field so far, but if you haven't already, you know the drill. It really helps out the channel. And let's try to get to 15,000 subscribers. It's very much appreciated. And also, well, just a lot of streams in the last few days, actually, and there's going to be more content throughout the week, including an F1 fantasy team selection video, and also a kind of first draft video where I kind of break down every single pick that I have, and there could be some changes from the team that I make kind of roughly on stream. It's going to be very, very rough, just to kind of as a kind of warning for all of you. So there will be some issues. There will obviously not. It's not going to be perfect, but there you go. It's a first very rough draft. It won't let me pick my team. I think it's glitched. What should I do? I'm not sure what your situation is, Jax, but I wouldn't panic about it. I honestly wouldn't panic about it. No, on my phone. Just do it on the browser then. I haven't tried it on my phone or on the app, but honestly, just try to... If it doesn't work with the app, try to do it on your browser. And if you're doing it on the browser on your phone and it doesn't work, then try the app basically. And if not, try another device. I wouldn't worry about it at all, to be honest. Mount or Bowen? I really like Bowen still for his price, but I think I would prefer Mount to start the season. And maybe until Gameweek 38, but that's obviously a very early prediction. We don't know what's going to happen. What else do we have? Is Neto just an impulse buy due to price point? Look, I think he's decent at that price. I really like him as a player. He's shown a lot of quality when he's fit, but I don't think he's a must-have. I think maybe some people are getting carried away, and he doesn't need to be in your team. If you see everyone with him, because he's probably one of the better 5.5 million options, it doesn't mean you need to go for him as well. And ultimately, just a kind of personal opinion, I prefer to have medium price midfielders like Diaz, Mount, Saka, etc. Those are my preferences, alongside a Heung-min Son or a Salah. But sometimes you don't have the money. If you want more money invested in your defence or your forward line, then you need to get someone like Neto, and he's decent. But yeah, I think some people are getting carried away with him. Whoever's worrying about verification email, it just takes a while. I did it and it took me took them 5-10 minutes. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't worry about it anyway. You will get it, and if not, you can always reset your pass or anything if that is needed, and also check your preferences for like the email. For example, by the way, an issue I had with the FPL website was in the kind of Premier League section. So I was trying to update my profile when I was trying to log into FPL, and it didn't let me go to the preferences section, by the way. So I think that's the 4th or 5th step. If any of you have that issue, let me know and I'll tell you what I did. It's a very simple kind of solution to that issue. But yeah, it's just something that you could say is common sense as well. Sometimes you just need the app basically to sort the issues. Eriksen's price hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah, exactly, the Flying Dutchman. I'm guessing it's going to be 6.5 million. He's probably going to go to Spurs, by the way. To United. But yeah. Yeah, Yusuf, we answered that question already, mate. Have you not seen he is in any draft, but Wilson's a brilliant shout. The thing with Wilson, though, is that the problem with Wilson is the fixtures, really. I like Gameweek 1, but then from Gameweeks 2 to 5, it is very tricky. That's really it, to be honest. Yep, I agree, all sports fan Adam. Cool graphics, they made it a bit brighter. Yeah, definitely. It's normally kind of dark purple. I do like that, and I would actually like the option to alternate between the two. And actually, I was having a few issues with the website where I still had the old version, and my website was freezing, but once I refreshed, it gave me the new version. What do you think about Eddie Nketiah? Really good start to pre-season, but honestly, I think his minutes will be reduced with Jesus joining, and I prefer Saka to cover the Arsenal attack. Welcome, Genius Gamer. Good to see you here. Yeah, exactly, Flying Dutchman. That's pretty much, I echo your sentiment. I wish there was also a dark mode. Maybe they will introduce it, but I doubt it. Welcome, Jad. It's good to see you here once again, and yes, we are back. I can't believe Jesus is only 8 million. Look, I don't want to seem ill-prepared, but I actually haven't seen all the prices, so wow, is he actually 8 million? That is incredible. I thought he'd be 8.5. 8 million, that's actually pretty tempting. That's a great price. Well done to FPL for that. I was criticising them yesterday for the price of this man, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 8 million, but I really like Jesus at 8. You could argue that Calvert-Lewin has been a better FPL option in the past, but look, I think Jesus at 8 million is actually really tempting. Let me try to make a bit of progress with the rest of my draft, but of course, the main thing of the stream is to answer all your questions as well. But we've made a bit of progress, just not enough, and I think I'm going to have to make some downgrades at some point, or some compromises. So the rest of the midfield, I'm actually pretty tempted to go for a kind of template where, not even a template, just a structure where I have two medium price midfielders like this. It's going to be really tricky though, to be quite frank. Let's see who else I could fit in here. You've got the 7 million midfielders, but honestly, I'm not a huge fan of them. Neto could enter my thoughts as well, and he's still someone I think is worth considering, just to make that clear, but I don't think he's the best option, and we shouldn't be too carried away by him. Grealish at 7 million is interesting, but at the same time, yeah, I need to see a bit more from him first before I'm a bit more convinced by him. A bit of a shame that Maddison's 8 million. If he was 7.5, I think he'd be in my team, basically, or 7 million. You know, that'd be probably just a bit too underpriced. Rafinha at 7 million, I think he's going to find a way into my team here. I think that's a great price for him. He's probably my favourite 7 million asset. And then I'm probably going to go for a cheaper midfielder here. Jacob Murphy's now, I think, reclassified as a midfielder, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think he was already a midfielder, actually. So we got James Milner as well. Not going to go for him. Sambi Lokonga. Is there anyone that kind of stands out here? Not really. Jeremy Sarmiento, not too sure. Palmer, obviously quality player. Keep an eye on him for the future, but not someone I'd consider in FPL this season. And we've got McAtee. So yeah, which 4-point family midfielder are you lot going for? Or are you just sticking with 4 millions or 4.5s with the forwards and defenders? That's pretty interesting. But I think for now, I might just go for any of these really. And it could be Jacob Murphy actually, or Sean Longstaff, he's another one. Yeah, not too sure about that one. Forwards. For me, I'm probably going to go for one of Kane or Haaland. In my first draft, actually, it was Kane. In the last few days, I had Haaland in fpl.team. I'm quite divided on that one. If you look at the fixtures as well, and actually, let me show you a different screen for this one. So let's go to Fantasy Football Hub once again. First 8 game weeks of the season, Spurs are right up there, and Man City are 4th. But it just depends really on how you want to structure your team and what you're really looking at. If you're looking really short term, first 6 game weeks of the season, Spurs and Man City are identical in terms of fixtures. Man City are 3rd, Spurs are 5th in terms of the fixture ticker. But if you look at the first 10 game weeks and you want to look a bit longer term, Man City are by far number 1, and Spurs actually move down to the bottom 5 because the fixtures from game week 7 to 10, they're actually pretty awful. Man City away, Leicester at home, Arsenal away, and Brighton away. Not a great set of fixtures for Spurs, but you could still see Son and Kane doing a very good job in those games. So let me know. Harry Kane and Haaland. I'm actually going to put a poll out. It's going to be one of the first polls of the season, but I think it's going to be worth asking. So let's do this one. Which forward do you prefer, Haaland or Kane? Should be interesting. I've seen a lot of you in the live chat actually go for Harry Kane, but I think Haaland's going to be more popular. Let's see what else we have, by the way, in the chat. Yeah, no worries, Dalipool, no worries. Also, I'm going to update my description as well. Actually, thank you for reminding me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, let's try to get to 100 likes. We've got 99 people watching. So let's try to build this up as we go through this stream. So yeah, I think... yeah, the live stream, here we go. I'm going to try updating my description, so you can just go in the description and also copy the link, and you're automatically in the league. So that's going to be the aim here. Let's go back to the FPL. Yeah, let's go to this as well. Auto join link. So yeah, I'm updating the description right now as we speak, and we'll get back to your questions as a result. So thank you there, Dalipool. I appreciate it. And the league code, yeah, we've got that. Yep, it's all updated. So thank you very much. And yeah, it's all there. And also, what am I, Sean Connery? I'm going to put the links as well in the live chat. So here we go. There we go. So yeah, if you want to join the league, there you go. If you were in it last season, you're automatically in the same league, so long as you're still logged into the same FPL account. So just a kind of word of warning there. Okay, yeah. Let me know if the stream's lagging, by the way. I got a bit of an error message there. But yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, it's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and also here, 86EX3J. That is the league code. But let's go back now to what we all want to see, the first draft, which is very rough, and I think I'm going to make a lot of changes as a result. Well, if it never works, it will work, Jax. It will work. Don't worry about it. It definitely will work at some point. Welcome, Alex. I've been good. What about you? Kluben, yes, Rashford I'm very interested in, and he could actually make way into my team. Yeah, I agree, Dalipool. Rafinha will probably be gone, and it could be out of the Premier League entirely. So yeah, Colback or Reed, really good shouts. Pereira gonna move. Yeah, some good shouts in the chat. I like it. I'm just going for Palmer. He could one day get some game time. He's a quality player. I think more so next season rather than this one is when he's going to start getting even more time. All Sports saying Haaland, and 77% of you going for Haaland as well. What I do like about Kane is that he's going to be more of a differential. Yeah, true. That's a really good point as well that I forgot. We talked about this yesterday by Ter Brazzi. I like Kane, but he always struggles in August. Really good point. And I'm not even sure if he's broken that kind of record, and he did score in the end. Haaland ain't scoring for the first 2 games. Really good shouts in here. You could be right, but you could be wrong. I wouldn't be convinced with Patterson as an Everton fan. It will be often played right wing back. It's good to see differing opinions between Harry and Carter, and also people in general. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops, but I think it's ultimately just a case of Patterson being eased into the team over the course of the season. It's not really a case of not having Neto, or like you don't need him, or look, I might have him in my team. It's just I don't think he's absolutely essential, and some people need to calm down about him. That's basically it. And he could still be in this draft, and I'm still, I've got him in mind, especially if I need the funds. Mount over Diaz, yeah, really good shout. I'm also still a bit concerned about Diaz as an FPL option. You reckon Marquinhos for Arsenal's a no-go? Yeah. Fabio Vieira, keep an eye out for him, but I'm still a bit concerned about rotation between him, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, etc. Saka and Jesus, for me, are the two best Arsenal attackers based on the prices and last season. And also, you've got Tomiyasu, Ben White, and also Ramsdale. And I'm still also going to try, as we go through the stream, to see other prices, because there's still some that I'm not aware of. So Saliba, for example, I'm guessing he's 4.5, but I want to see. So Ramsdale's 5 million, yeah, we know that. Leno 4.5, yeah, that's all fair. So Saliba 4.5 million, yeah. Cedric's 4.5, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's all good pricing, to be fair. I like it. Tierney's 5 million. Who else is there from Arsenal? I mean, not really Pepe's 5.5 million. Wow. To be fair though, he's not going to get game time. He might even be offloaded, but that's a very, very big price drop for Pepe. Marquinhos is 5 million. Okay, I can see why you're interested in him. 0% ownership, by the way, not even 0.1. Makes sense, to be fair. Reece Nelson's back from loan as well. Fabio Vieira, keep an eye out for him. And then, yeah, Jesus and Nketiah. I really like Jesus at 8 million, I have to say. If he was 7.5, I think he'd definitely be in my team. And wow, look at the ownership. Very, very interesting stuff there. As for Nketiah, yeah, as expected, not even 1% ownership. Wow, that's pretty good. But yes, that's Arsenal's prices. Let's see, Aston Villa. We're going to skim through this. Most of the key ones we kind of already know. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that really stands out. Bailey at 5 million's pretty decent. I do like that. But yeah, everything else, not really that interesting. Let's see Chelsea, actually. Yeah, I don't like some of these prices like Thiago Silva, as I said before, but obviously Chilwell and James going to be the standouts. Is there anyone else? Ziyech is 6 million. Wow, there are some big price drops this season, but it does make sense, to be fair. Broja, 5.5 million. He's linked to Everton, I think, and Newcastle, so keep an eye out for him. I do like that. But yeah, we're going to now try to fill in the rest of the gaps. I think I'm going to go for Haaland at the moment, but it could be Kane in the end. It's something I'm going to think about until the 5th of August when the deadline locks in. So Haaland's in there. I'm also considering the possibility of 1 or 2 4.5 million forwards here, to be quite frank. I'm actually going to check this out, so bear with me for a second. We're going to go for Gabriel Jesus, just testing the waters really, just to make it clear. And let's go for a 4.5 million forward. Let's put Greenwood, for example. So that leaves us with 5 million, and we've got 2 goalkeeper slots. So yeah, we definitely need to make some adjustments. Rafinha could be one example. Let's put Neto, but still a bit about him. Goalkeeper, let's put Raya, just for the cheaper option. And we're going to put a 4 million goalkeeper in here. And let's put Caballero. Okay, so we are 2 million over budget, so I'm going to make some changes. I think Jesus is probably one of the first names to be downgraded. But this doesn't look too bad so far. But yeah, obviously we're over budget, it doesn't work. How do I change... Ooh, already the first voice crack. How do I change the team names? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's quite simple. So, yeah, I think it's here. So go to pick team, and then you go to create and join leagues, I think it is. No, okay, that's already wrong. I'm going to try to test this out and find the answer to your query. Yeah, I think it's here. So let me go to full screen. As you can see here next to the fixtures, user profile. Click on that, and then yeah, you can change your names, I think. No, okay, no, it's not here. Okay, no, it's not. That's a fail. I'm going to try find this. I'm a bit rusty here. I'm still a bit rusty. Team details. It must be that. It must be team details here in admin. Yeah, it's that. And then here, team details. You can change the name. I've got La Celeste for Argentina. You can put whatever you want. So that's where it is. We got there eventually. So basically, you go to the admin section here, which I've got highlighted, and then click team details. So that's how you are able to change your team name. Hopefully you got that, and you can change at any point throughout the season. So no need to worry there. And then yeah, that looks pretty good actually. Now let's go back. We are going to be going back to the draft. Walker Peters, I think he's the best Southampton option, but honestly, he's not someone that stands out to me. I'd rather have Tomiyasu at the same price. I'm spelling a Rashford Gameweek 1 hat-trick. Well, a hat-trick is a very bold prediction. You never know, but against Brighton, isn't it? Not too sure. What's Kane's record like against Southampton? Obviously, I remember when he got the 4 assists, and Son got 4 goals. I don't know his exact record, but I think it's fairly decent, actually. So I'm going to check that for you. Harry Kane record versus Southampton. I'd recommend sites like Transfer Market for this. It gives you a really good indication. So Harry Kane's record. Yep. All right. Against Southampton, really good, actually. 11 goals in 18 games and 8 assists. In the Premier League specifically, let me try to get that up for you. So in the Premier League, it is 14 games, 11 goals, 6 assists. So it's a fantastic record there. And to be honest, I think he will score against Southampton, or at least he's going to get some points. So yeah, that is the answer to your query. There you go. It's looking pretty menacing, or should I say pretty grim for Southampton, basically. I think Adama might be the better option than Neto. Adama, not for me. And either way, wasn't he a permanent transfer to Barcelona? I'll double check that. But yeah, either way, Adama for me, not really. I would prefer. He's back. It was a loan. Yeah, I mean, he had that good season in 2019-20. A lot of assists for Jimenez, but I can see what you mean. It's not like Neto's amazing or wow, and it's a fair shout. But I'm just not really feeling Adama Traore. Not even Neto, to be fair, but even less so with Adama. Bowen at 8.5 is steep. I can see what you mean, especially with Man City to start the season, but he has done very well against them in the past. Kane has never had a decent August. Yeah, that's the kind of main problem with him. Welcome, Alpha. Good to see you. I'm mad that my FPL ID changed from what it was on the website after I logged into my phone. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. My FPL ID was 4 digits before. It's not the end of the world, though. It's just an ID. I mean, that's just a personal opinion. I'm not really that fussed about it. It shows me only 3 tabs: squad selection, home, and sign out. You have to make a team first, Ditya. That's why. You have to make a team first, and then you can see all the tabs. So don't worry about it. Forza Mitrovic. He has Liverpool first game of the season, but I keep an eye on him. I think we shouldn't really let our bias, kick in too much. He's still someone to keep an eye on. But I think I'm still a bit concerned about him. I don't expect him to have a 20-goal season or something, but I can see double digits in terms of goals for him for sure. But someone to really consider more so after a few game weeks rather than to start the season. Anyone has a Kurt Zuma pun? I saw one yesterday, but I can't remember what it was exactly. Martinelli or Saka? For me, Saka if you can afford it, but there's a huge difference in price. Decent record for sure, and Southampton defence doesn't look good. And I actually saw a few shouts by some of you in the chat in the last few days where Southampton could be relegated, and I don't think that's a bad shout. Cancelo to Diaz and Greenwood to Undav looks solid for your team. Really good shout. I like it. Thank you very much for it. I am 2 million over budget, by the way, as you can see. I'm going to make changes now. So Gabriel Jesus, unfortunately, probably going to make way here. 6 million. Brendan Johnson, by the way, we didn't cover the Nottingham Forest prices because we ended the stream just before that happened. 6 million for him is a decent price. I would consider that. But still not a huge fan of most of these forwards, to be honest. I am considering going for another 4.5 million forward and maybe upgrading my 5th midfielder, as well as possibly Neto as well. Let me try that, actually. I'm going to do that. So let's go for another 4.5 million forward. I'm going to go for Dwight Gale, and that gives me enough money. I could go to Martinelli, for example, here. That is interesting, to be fair. So I've got Raya in goal, of course. Caballero is just bench fodder. All of my defenders could obviously start, but it's mainly going to be James, Cancelo, Trent, and Perisic. Then I've got Salah, Diaz, Saka. And here is where things could get interesting. A 7 million option potentially to choose from. Who do I go for? I mean, Rafinha would be probably number 1, but I don't think he's going to stay at Leeds, and he might not even be in the Prem next season. But there's decisions to make here. However, I think I'm going to go for... Let's go for someone like Tony for now. But I'm not too sure about him in the long term. He's only 4.6% owned. I actually like that. Really like that. Yeah, tough decisions to be made, as you can see. I'm quite sure about most of my team, but there's just 1 or 2, possibly 3 spots which kind of still need to figure out, really, especially in terms of budget. 9 million. Yeah. Let's go for Neto for now. famous last words. So yeah, Neto's in here. Yeah, we still need a bit more money. 4.5 million. Yeah, we'll go for Murphy again. Yeah, I'm still going to reconsider this 4.5 million spot though, to be honest. Yeah, we're just going to go for Murphy for now. Alright, so 1 million over. Who would you downgrade? A lot of people are going cold on Tony, which I can understand. I think he isn't going to be as appealing with Eriksen out of the equation. In Mbumo, I actually prefer Tony though for that extra million, but it's a great shout. Ramsey, yep, Ramsey's a good shout. I think he's going to improve in terms of goal output. Wissa 5.5, I really like that. I talked about him the other day when covering Brentford. I think Wissa's very underrated. Yeah. What about Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle? Really good. It would be netted to Bruno Guimaraes, and I would need 1.5 million to fund it because, as you can see, I'm over by 1 million. So yeah, it's a good shout though. Bruno actually was in my first draft and showed his class last season, obviously. I don't know if he was joking, but Focal said that if two players have the same rank and goal difference, then they will look at FPL ID number. Nah, that's just a joke. That must be a joke, surely. How do they give IDs? It's basically in order of how you sign up. I'm pretty sure that's how they give the IDs. So I'm around 35,000 in the world, and I was quite late actually to registering. Tony and downgrade Cancelo to Laporte. Really good shout. I like that, Karaki. We'll go for something like that for now. Thank you for that. It's a good shout. And I do value all of your opinions. Let's go back to your chat as well. Welcome, Kimikaze. Good to see you here once again. Where can I see the ID number? Let's go back. Probably the last time I'm going to answer it because we have covered it quite a lot, to be fair, but I do recognise that some people are joining late. So to see your FPL ID, obviously a very popular question today. So go to the pick team section of FPL. If you don't have it, or at least if you only have like a few tabs and you need to make a team first, be sure to do that. Even if it's auto pick, it doesn't matter. So go to the pick team section on FPL, then go to here. Gameweek history is what you mainly want to look at here. Click on it, and then in the URL you're going to see a number, and that is your team ID. So that is how you find it. And the team ID is basically the order of how you've signed up to FPL. So if you're number one, wow, I mean, you must be very good with refreshing websites. That's what I would say. But let's go back to the team, which is what we are mainly focused on at the moment. Let's see, Tony to Chelsea. I doubt that, but you never know. You never know. Yes, I have a mini league. It's on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, the man, the myth, the legend, and it's also in the description below. So 86EX3J is the league code. If you were in the league last season, you're going to be in it again, unless you have a different account. Yeah, Dioxan, like I said, Martinelli for me. Try not to spam the chat, please. So for me, Haaland, Kane with Undav backup. Yeah, I like that. I had something very similar in my first draft. Haaland or Kane, what are we thinking? Well, in the poll, Haaland's winning by a landslide. For me personally, it's also Haaland, but it's still quite a tough one. The main reason why I mainly lean towards Haaland is because he has better long-term fixtures, and also because Kane doesn't tend to start the season very well in August. But, of course, I still expect him to do really well against Southampton. My FPL ID was 6,000 Smith. Then I don't know, now it's 21k. Oh, then maybe I've got it completely wrong. I'm not sure why that's the case. Transition is so smooth. Thank you. It is a bit like stuttering for some reason. Yeah, there's not much I can do about that, but I'll try to fix it in the future. It was working fine yesterday. But yeah, thank you for that. Andres Pereira going Fulham. Pretty interesting one to keep an eye on, but I think Wilson's the main one in the midfield, and you've got Mitrovic up front, but not bad. Small concern, but I wish the website had the updated kits. We probably will towards August, basically, but for now, you're just going to have these kind of template older kits. Can't wait for newish shaky Chelsea defence to get ripped out of their clean sheet in Game Week 1. It's possible. I've said this before. I'm not a huge fan of double Chelsea defence, but the reason why a lot of us are doing it with Chilwell and James is because of their goal output. That's pretty much it. Gibbs White at 5.5 is disappointing. Yeah, agreed. Would have been a great cheap option for Forest or Everton. Yeah, really good shout, Harry. Some of these prices are disappointing, but for the most part, they have got it right. Can you suggest a forward plus midfield pair for 10.5 million? Hopefully, I don't butcher the maths here. So you're going to be a bit limited, basically. Yeah. So really, what you're looking at is going to be a bench fodder forward. Ultimately, it's going to be really hard to fit someone in because, for example, if you want Neto at 5.5 million, then you've got 5 million left for your forward. Ultimately, you're not going to have many to choose from. So maybe Greenwood. Let me check the 5 million forwards actually. Let me check that. But yeah, I appreciate the question. It's a great one, and it's something that a lot of us are going to have to think about at some point. But let me check. 5 million forwards. Is there anyone that stands out? Not really. They're all 4.5 million, apart from Surridge, but I probably wouldn't go for him. So Greenwood and Martinelli, for example, or Greenwood and Neto, and you've still got a bit left over, but you're not going to have too much to choose from. If not, what you could consider is Undav at 5.5, or there's still, I think, a few more at 5.5 that could be worth considering. I think there's one, Broja, especially if you join someone like Newcastle or Everton. So yeah, Broja or Undav would be it. And then you have 5 million left over. Who do you go for in the midfield? Let's see. 5 million midfielder. Douglas Luiz isn't bad. Willock is a shout. Yeah, most of them aren't going to be great. Elanga. Undav and Elanga is a shout. Just throwing it out there. Let me know what you think of that. It's not the greatest. Elanga's not going to be that nailed, but you never know. You never know. And I don't know the full list of the 5 million midfielders, but it's something worth considering. Yeah, Elanga and Undav is decent. It's not too bad. Let's go back to your questions. Yates at 5 million. I like that. Let me search him up as well. Like I said, I'm still going to iron out more research and cover all these players in detail. I did a lot of research on the championship teams, and I kind of highlighted the main attackers, but Yates isn't bad. It's not bad. 0.2% ownership, 5 million. Okay, one to keep an eye on. I'll try to note these down. So obviously we had from Everton, we had the 4 million defender, Nathan Patterson. Let's put him on screen here as well. 0.5% ownership. Yeah, so good suggestions by all of you in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to kind of finalize this team, by the way, for now. But it's really rough, it's really, really rough. I wouldn't really consider it too much. Let's put the captaincy as well. Let's sort it out a little bit. So Salah captain and Haaland vice. But yeah, still some things to iron out in this team. Yeah, Murphy in the starting 11, no chance. Let's put Diaz there and Reece James in for Tomiyasu, I think. I don't expect a clean sheet for Arsenal there. Also Ivan Toney for Greenwood. So yeah, something like this to start the season. Let's wait and see. Wait, so we had the bench boost and triple captain. So I'm going to actually check the rules section. That's what I want to check, because I didn't see the chips fully then. I don't see the bench boost. So bear with me for a second. Here you got the fixture ticker on the FPL website if you want checked out as well. But what we want to see actually is the rules. So let's get that up for all of you. And let's see if there's anything that we need to kind of clarify. So chips, here we go. Yeah, we still got the bench boost. Yeah, the points scored by bench players in the next game week included. Yeah, free hit, triple captain, wildcard, and pretty much we are getting free wildcards this season. It says we've got twice, but I'm pretty sure after the World Cup or before the World Cup begins, we have the option to wildcard. So basically between game week 16 and 17. So I'm pretty sure we are getting free wildcards. If I'm wrong, correct me in the live chat. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And I'm going to do a how to play guide if you lot are interested. And we're going to be covering all the rules in detail. And if there's any significant changes, you're going to see it right here on this channel. Does Walker and Rashford start? As things stand, I think Walker definitely starts. But the problem is when Cucurella joins City or another wing-back, for example. That is the main problem. As for Rashford, I have a feeling, it's a gut feeling, pretty much that's all it is, that he does start. But I could be wrong. Wilson's a legend. I love playing 3-4-3 with three strikers. So do I, but after last season, I think most of us are going to one or two strikers. But yeah, I think Wilson's definitely worth considering. Yeah, shout out to Brendan Dowd Plays and Shorts, who uploaded his first FPL video. Check it out. He's in the live chat right now. Triple up on Chelsea. Interesting. I've seen a few people in the chat as well talking about tripling up on the defence, which not too sure about that, but you never know. It could work. Yeah, Bro is also linked to West Ham. Really good shout. He's linked to a lot of Premier League clubs. Is Laporte nailed? Only 6% bought him. Well, based on last season, I would say yes. And also with Ake leaving, potentially, he's linked to Chelsea. City don't have too many left-footed centre-backs. I think Laporte is nailed, but it could be a difference this season. It could change. I agree with Murphy and... I'm not even going to try to pronounce it right now. Reliable for the bench, or would I need to upgrade? Reliable for the bench, not really. They're just bench fodder, Yusuf. That's really it. Saka still on pens? Good question. I think, look, it's between him, Martinelli and Jesus. And the reason why I say that is because Martinelli actually took the last penalty of the season against Everton. We were all quite surprised that Saka didn't take it. So I wouldn't be too sure about Saka being on penalties. It's one to monitor, but I wouldn't be too sure about it. Perisic rotation versus with Reguilon. If Reguilon stays, I would be quite concerned actually about that. My main concern is with Sessegnon anyway. If Reguilon stays at the club, Spurs are going to have 3 wing-backs on the left-hand side, which is a bit too much, I think. It's a bit overkill. So I'd be quite surprised if he stays at the club. If he is, look, I'm concerned about Perisic rotation anyway. So yes, keep an eye on that. I think Perisic could be rotated more often than he was last season. Yeah, Rice at 5 million is decent, but he's also not amazing, in my opinion. Thank you, All Sports Fan Adam. Once again, though, maybe won't get that many minutes. It's also a new manager. We don't know what Ten Hag's going to do with all these wingers, to be honest. Let's see what else we have, by the way. I've changed my team name to Lingardium Leviosa. Wow, I really like that. I'm a happy person. Yeah, fair play. Yeah, okay, I'm just thinking of the Hermione meme now. I want an unlimited chip. Yes, like the Limitless, for example. Yeah, I would want, 1 or 2 changes, but we're not getting it this season, it looks like. There is unlimited transfers during Gameweek 16-17. Yeah, exactly. It's not actually classified or named as a wild card, but it pretty much is. Yeah, infinite transfers to the World Cup. It's the right decision, I think. Yeah. Can we try build a 4 premium draft for the memes? Okay, that's a good shout. Let me just get the other comment here. So I wish they had unlimited like UCL Fantasy. I'm seeing a lot of you say that, and I can, I just pretty much completely agree with you. This was the auto-pick team, by the way. Look how awful this is with Vardy on the bench, as well as Matip and Lloris. Oh, God, that's awful. Let's refresh the page and let us now go to the transfer section where we're going to try build another draft with 4 premiums. So let's go off the players you said. So you mentioned Son, Kane, Salah, Haaland, Trent. Okay, oof, that's going to be quite tough. So let's try put Son in here for Saka. What else? You said Kane. We'll go for him. Okay, so one of Son or Kane. Yeah, okay, that's fine. We've got Haaland already. It's not, that out of the realms of possibility, to be honest. I think the main thing we have to do is go from Tony to a 4.5 million forward. So let's do that quickly. Let's go to Dwight Gale. Now we only need 1.5 million. What would you guys do to be able to get Son, Salah, Diaz, Neto, Haaland? But then how would we do this? Because, look, you'd start Raya, you'd go for 5 at the back potentially, and then play Son, Salah, Diaz, and Neto, and then Haaland up front. So I think, really, we're going to downgrade a defender. And we could do Laporte or James down, or even Perisic, to be fair. I'd be a bit careful about this one though. So if you want to kind of draft like that, which is still quite solid, yeah, let's try to do this. So 4.5 million defender. Let's see the list. So we've got Joachim Andersen, who I recommended yesterday actually. Mark Gay as well. Quite interesting here. Lewis Dunk. So what do you think of this draft, by the way? It allows you to have Son, Salah, Haaland, as well as Trent. So technically 4 premiums there. It's not too shabby, actually. No City defence, though. Bit concerning, but it's not too bad. It's actually pretty good. And you play 5-4-1, basically, with Neto being a starter, which isn't ideal, but it's also not the worst case in the world. Is Cancelo not an option for you, Dylan? Oh, he definitely is, mate. It's just a kind of very, very rough draft. Very rough. I prefer Cancelo over Laporte and Diaz, but you also have to think of budget. Chelsea leaked goals for the fun at the end of the last season, yes, but I think they will make a signing at the back, and I think they will get things sorted. Remember, lads, over 100 likes for this live chat. Thank you for the reminder. Let's see how we're progressing there. So we are on 59. We've got 150 watching. Let's try to get to 150 likes. It'd be very much appreciated, and it just helps out the channel in general. So thank you very much to everyone who's already done so. It helps out a lot. Let's end this poll as well, by the way. A lot of you have voted, by the way, so thank you. Over 200 of you. We're going to end it. 3/4 of you went for Haaland over Kane. Saka versus Jesus. Really good question. I prefer Saka just because there's more 8 million midfielders you can go to, as opposed to Jesus. You can go to Tony around a similar price. You've got maybe Watkins or someone like that. Callum Wilson, very good shout, but Saka is my preference. Keep an eye on Jesus though, and he could be on penalties. Although, having thought of that, I remember him missing a penalty against Argentina. His penalty isn't... I don't think his penalty taken is the greatest. So let's wait and see. Vestergaard is 4 million. Is he the best 4 million? Let me check that. Like I said, there's still some prices I'm not aware of. That's a decent shout, actually. Vestergaard, 4 million. The thing is, though, I don't expect him to be that nailed. You know, look how many minutes he played last season for Leicester. He was very nailed at Southampton, but that isn't the case at Leicester. The main centre-back partnership will probably be Johnny Evans and Fofana. You've also got Suyuncu. Then you've also got Vestergaard. So, yeah, Leicester have a lot of squad depth. I probably wouldn't go for him. 4 million, like Harry said, keep an eye on Nathan Patterson. But yeah, I'm not too sure about Vestergaard. It's a good shout, but I'm not too sure about it myself. So yeah, this is the kind of premium draft you can see here. Let's go back to this team though. It's not looking too shabby. This is my first draft, you could call it, on FPL. So we've got Raya in goal. We've got Perisic, Laporte, James and Trent. I really want Cancelo, but I'm not sure how I'm going to fit him in. Neto, bit reluctant about that. Saka, Salah captain, Diaz, Tony and Haaland. The bench is Caballero, Tomiyasu, Murphy and Greenwood. So very rough draft. I could definitely improve this, I think. And I think some of you can also make a much better draft. Is Thiago from Liverpool a bargain? Not for me. And it also wastes a precious Liverpool spot. So not for me. Is Cancelo a must-have? Not for me, Patricia. Not a must-have. You can cover him with Laporte, Ederson in goal, or Diaz. Diaz will be rotated as well, potentially. And I am considering the likes of Mason Mount and Maddison as well. Your auto pick is decent, mate. I mean, the players themselves are pretty good, but there are some questionable stuff in there. Which City and Chelsea midfielders can you trust to start? Mason Mount from Chelsea. I wouldn't really go for anyone else. From City, probably Phil Foden and De Bruyne. That's pretty much what I'd go down to. Obviously, Bernardo you trust to start, but would you want him in your FPL team? Yeah, as K&D says, thoughts on Bernardo. I could see him getting a decent number of goal contributions, but I prefer Foden, De Bruyne. I think they're above in the pecking order. Castagna at 4.5 is decent, but then you've also got Pereira and Justin. And Leicester were awful defensively last season. I expect an improvement, but at the same time, it's just one to keep an eye on rather than put him into the team right away. Yeah, Haaland smashed a poll. I'm surprised by that. Haaland way better. I don't know. From Gameweeks 1 to 38, if you're looking really long term, I think it will be very close between the two, especially with injuries. Kane tends to get, one injury per season, which is quite big. Haaland has gotten quite a few in the last few campaigns, but let's wait and see. I'm currently on Haaland, but Kane could be interesting. Yep. And also, his ownership is very tempting. Best 4.5 million midfielder. A great question and something that I still need to figure out myself. We're going to try answer it now, at least give you a decent answer. There's not really anyone that stands out. I've gone for Murphy at the moment, but I wouldn't say he's the best, to be honest. Sean Longstaff isn't too bad, but yeah, no, I'm just not too sure about him. Diallo? No, I'm looking at the list. There's nothing really that stands out to me. I do like this, by the way. Carney, I'll call him. He's not too bad. One to keep an eye on for the future, but yeah, I wouldn't be that, wouldn't be that impressed by it. Maybe one of these kind of newly promoted midfielders as well, but yeah, I'm just not too sure about it. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm at a loss here. Lavia actually completed a move to Southampton, by the way, so watch this space, but yeah, it's just really grim pickings here at the moment. But someone could, pop about, Nakamba, you never know. But for now, I'm going for Murphy. I'm just not a huge fan of most of these 4.5 million midfielders, though. Thoughts on Rashford. As I discussed before, I think he could be a great option to start the season, and he could be even better than Neto if you can afford that extra million. So definitely keep an eye on him. Also, I'm seeing some people say if Ronaldo leaves, Rashford could get an opportunity up front. It could definitely be the case, but look, once United sign a striker, I just don't really see Rashford having that. Yeah, I've reset the league, Mikey. What you see on the left-hand corner of your screen is the new league code, so check that out. You can join. Did we all forget about Antonio? I mean, he's not bad. He got 10 goals, 10 assists last season, and he's probably top 3, top 4 West Ham assets, but I mean, would you rather go for him over Tony, Jesus, Wilson? Not for me personally. Yeah, 4.5 million midfielder who starts most games. There's no one really that's, springs out to mind, but there might be someone that I'm kind of missing out, really. Skip was starting a lot for Tottenham under Nuno Espirito Santo, but is he going to now start with Basuma in the ranks? You've also got Højbjerg. No. So, really, it's grim pickings. 4.5 million in the midfield. There's not really... There's just bench fodder options, enablers. That's literally what they are. Colback, best 4.5. Potentially. I'm going to get him up on screen. Colback, yep, he could be it. You could be right there, but once again, like I said, I need to do more research on these newly promoted clubs and their other assets, which I haven't really mentioned in the last few videos. But yeah, Colback could be a shout, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of these. If you look at Newcastle, actually got very good fixtures and some very bad, so they can be rotated. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Fabian Schär at the back, Trippier. You've also got Bruno Guimaraes. That's not bad. Callum Wilson up front, Nick Pope in goal. So let's check the fixture ticker once again. So here we go. Yeah, we'll go to fantasy football actually. So let's say the opening 10 games. Opening 10 games, Newcastle are actually, mid-table, so not too bad. Their fixtures really pick up from Gameweek 6 to 10. And actually, if we check from Gameweek 6 to 10, they're probably going to be right up there. Yeah, they're second in that time period. So one to keep an eye on. Gameweeks 1 to 6, though, Newcastle are in the bottom 4. Nottingham Forest is the only kind of standout fixture. Crystal Palace at home isn't bad, but yeah. I'm not a big fan of those fixtures for Newcastle, but then again, you could just bench them, especially those kind of cheaper options. I'm probably not going to start the season with Callum Wilson, though. I just think there's too many tough games in there. But when you have someone like Fabian Schär, definitely worth having in your team, even from Gameweek 1. Good shout. Can't sign into FPL. If that's the case, Riverston, try the other way. So if you're trying with the browser and it's not working on your laptop, then try with the FPL app. That's what kind of worked for me. Thank you, Karaki, for sorting that out. Maher Doherty could be decent. Yep, exactly. I completely agree. At 5 million, he was... I think he actually increased to 5 million when he was on that roll. That's really good. Dylan Wyvie, chosen the Brentford goalkeeper. They're going to finish outside the top 10. But it's not just about that. You have to just think about FPL points, and Mendy will keep more clean sheets, but Raya will probably get more save and bonus points. And once again, Thomas, it's literally just a rough draft. And one of the first things I pointed out was that my goalkeeper position is what I'm least confident about. And actually, I would argue that Ramsdale and a few others like Nick Pope and Martinez are even better than Raya, to be honest. Thorsten Saint-Maximin, not really a big fan. I preferred him when he was a midfielder. When he was a forward, rather than now. Coutinho's a good shout, yes, especially from Villa, but not a huge fan. I would rather spend a little bit more to get an 8 million midfielder, personally. Feel like 4 at the back with 2 playing forwards is the way to go for flexibility. Yep, feel like this is important early on as things rarely work out as we imagine at the start of the season. Fair shout, and 4-4-2 is a really good formation in general, to be honest, William. So I think that's a great shout. Be right back. I'm just going to do a quick break. We're going to be back with the team. We're going to make some further changes and answer more of your questions. So stay tuned and we'll be right back very soon. All right, so we are back, and let's go through more of your questions. No toilet break, actually, no toilet break. So why are these bots promoting the stuff on an FPL channel? Apparently they do it on a lot of different channels, actually. Not too sure why that's the case. Chalobah is a 4.5 million playing for Fulham now. Yeah, some really good suggestions in the chat in general. Martinelli is a good shout. He is. I'm just a bit concerned about his rotation, to be honest. That's the main concern. I hope Odegaard becomes more of an FPL option this season. He scored 7 goals and got 4 assists. And to be honest, he should have gotten more assists. That's pretty much the case. He definitely should have. But I'm actually not that convinced by him as an FPL option. That's pretty much my main concern with him. I think Saka and Jesus are the best Arsenal attackers. And then you'd probably say Martinelli. That's my top 3 ranking. Saka being first. Hi, will the price changes freeze during the World Cup unlimited transfers period? I'm actually not sure about that. That's a really good question. I think... Wow, that's a great question. Just kind of a first, feeling or at least initial reaction is I think it won't. I think it'll just be the same, no freezing whatsoever. But, one to keep an eye on. And once we get clarification, I will be letting you guys know. My first draft was very template and I don't really like it, but it shows who is really a bargain, and when we will get closer to the deadline, I will probably find some gems. Yeah, you always want to have a few differentials spread throughout the team, but yeah, the template will probably grow as we get closer to Gameweek 1, unfortunately. When do most teams start the pre-season? Well, Arsenal, for example, travelled yesterday, I think, to Germany. So it starts fairly soon. I think within the next week or so, basically, yeah. Chasing the ideal 4.5 million midfielder like a... hit on Tinder, the perks of life, yeah. I mean, once you find someone who's kind of nailed on, guarantees you, 1-2 points every single week, that's fine. Someone just to sit on the bench and to be an enabler. What is a draft? It's just like a first team, it's not going to be conclusive or final, but it's just a draft. It's just a kind of an experiment, you could say. You're also testing the waters. That's pretty much it. What you see on screen is a draft. Andres Pereira joining Fulham makes him great at 4.5 million. Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Colback and Pereira are probably the two that mainly stand out. Got to keep an eye on that, though. Got to keep an eye on that. At the moment, I'm going to go for Colback. I don't think Pereira is in the game. But yeah. Once again, I need to acclimatise to all these different prices. There's still a few players that I'm actually not sure what their price is. Because, like I said, as soon as I... loaded the website, I went on the stream basically, so I'm reacting live. Share might not get decent playing time. I personally think it will be Botman and Share, but you may be right. It could be a case of Share actually being rotated from time to time, Botman being the main centre back and Share rotating with the others, but I still think Share's the second best. You've also got Dan Burn. Is he going to be the main starter? Good point. I still think Share's going to be one of the main defenders there, though. I don't think prices freeze because the show will go on. There will still be football. Yeah, and also things like injuries in the World Cup, they could also lead into the Premier League season again, and they can have an impact. Like I said, I don't think there will be a freeze, but, it should be interesting. Thank you, Josh, and good luck to you as well. I really much appreciate it. Thank you. What do you think of Saint-Maximin? Like I said earlier, I just don't really like him as an option now. In the midfield, for a similar price, you can get Rafinha, should he stay in the Premier League. You've got Zaha. You've got Martinelli, Neto, and just for a bit more, you can easily afford someone like Maddison. For me, it's just a no. What about Solanke, Johnson and Mitrovic? I think around 6 million, those are the best forwards, pretty much. You've just named them, and probably 3 of the only ones. I like them. In terms of where do I rank them, probably Mitrovic and Johnson are in my top 2. I'm a bit less keen on Solanke. I think Brennan Johnson will also provide more assists than the others, although all of them got a similar amount. I think Mitrovic and Solanke got 7 assists last season in the Championship. Johnson got 9. So, look, all definitely worth keeping tabs on. But I think, kind of a gut feeling, I think Johnson is the one I'm mainly interested in. Opinions on Nunez. Really like Nunez as a player this season, but Diaz, I think, offers better value. Salah, of course, is probably going to be the Liverpool attacker of choice. And then you've got the fullbacks and you've got Alisson. Apologies for the background noise. I'll try maybe sort it out and minimise it in a second. Hopefully it doesn't detract too much. Gordon as 5.5 million and Chalobah as 4.5 million mid. Yeah, Gordon at 5.5 is a fair price, but it's not really a standout. It's not like you need to have Gordon in now. So, look, Chalobah, yeah, I'll keep an eye on him with Chalobah. So let's actually search him up now. Yeah, Chalobah 4.5 million mids. just not really feeling it, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, he's not too bad. He's not too bad. He's another one that could get plenty of minutes, along with Colback and Pereira, should he join Fulham. But yeah, he's not going to be a standout, I think. In the past, we've gotten some real bargains in the midfield and other positions. I'm just not too sure if this year we're going to get that, but I could be completely wrong. Perisic is like Shaw last season. You could be right, but then a few points that I would use to counter that is that I think Spurs will do much better defensively than United ever were going to do last season. And also Perisic got 8 goals and 7 assists for Inter Milan in the last campaign. So look, you could be right. Perisic might be a red herring, but I think he will do well. It's just I'm concerned about the rotation there. Do you think Jota will get his spot back in the Liverpool team over Diaz? No. I think Diaz will be the main left winger. And I think it's a case of Jota alternating with Nunez and Diaz from time to time. And Liverpool have that squad depth. Also keep an eye on Fabio Carvalho, I think it is, playing on the wings. He could also give potentially Salah a rest from time to time. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, he predominantly plays on the left-hand side and also in central positions. If Rafinha changes his mind and joins Chelsea, would he go straight in your team? I'm not sure about straight in my team, but I think he would. And I would maybe change things out a little bit. So either Diaz or Neto would become Rafinha. And if it is Diaz going to Rafinha, then that would allow me to change things up a little bit. So, by the way, this was a draft to experiment having 4 premiums in the team. This is what I have at the moment. And once again, there's a few things that I think will definitely change. So, Raya or Mendy or Pope, whoever it may be, I'm still kind of debating the goalkeeper. The defence in general is quite nailed on. I would like someone like Tomiyasu at 4.5, if not Lewis Dunk. A Chelsea fullback I would definitely like. You've also got Trent or Robertson, a City defender, and potentially Perisic. I think that's the kind of defensive line I want to aim for. In the midfield, I would like at least 1, if not 2, midfielders around 7 to 8 million. If Rafinha stays in the Premier League, as you say, I think he would go into my team. And we could do something like this, for example. So let's say Rafinha goes to Chelsea. I would do something like this potentially. And that also gives me enough money to do Tony to Gabriel Jesus, which could be a fantastic shout. So, look, I'm still open-minded, of course. We are going to get more transfers that could change the complexion of our squads and also our thinking. So, really good shout there. Great question. And let's wait and see. But his priority, it seems like, is Barcelona. How do I edit my team? Well, you have to make a team first. I mean, how do you edit it? You go to the pick team section once you have made your first team, basically. So that's how you do it. And then you go to the pick team, and then there's make transfers, and they will take you to the transfer section. So transfer section is where you do it. With Richarlison out for Gameweek 1, it makes Kulusevski a good option, definitely. But would you want to booking a transfer? Because Kulusevski might start to get fewer minutes from Gameweek 2 onwards. And then you might do a reversal on that decision and go to someone like Mason Mount or someone else. So I like Kulusevski as an FPL option when he gets the minutes, but I'd also be very concerned, and I think he's less appealing this season. Coutinho for 7. I'd prefer Rafinha if he stays in the Prem, but yes, Coutinho is definitely one of the better options at 7 million. You've also got Zaha. Those are probably the top 3, unless I'm missing someone. Yeah, Sterling, if he signs for Chelsea, would definitely be far more appealing than he is at City right now. But I actually would keep an eye on Bruno, especially if Ronaldo leaves United. I think I'd be a bit more convinced about Bruno than Sterling. But yes, he definitely would enter the thinking once again. Force on Mahrez, it's a good price for him, but he's always been the go-to guy in the Champions League. But in the Premier League, he just doesn't get those minutes that he deserves. And that always puts me off. I think I'd rather go for Foden at the same price. But if Mahrez actually gets an increase in minutes this season, I definitely would be all over that for sure. No Salah and Haaland plus Kane is the way to go this year. Not too sure. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, there's no definitive answer. I think a lot of these premiums are going to offer you great value. There's going to be some open-ended debates in terms of the captaincy. I don't think there's a right or wrong there. If not Martinelli, who'd you pick for 6 million? I do have Salah, Neto, Zaha. I'm going to check that now. I think Bruno Guimaraes is one of the first names that pops up for me. But let me try give you a few other options to choose from. So 6 million midfielder. Let us check. Who do we have? So midfielders, 6 million. Let's see. Conor Gallagher, I mean, I don't really expect him to get too many minutes. Rodri actually had a really good end to the season, so look, I wouldn't say go for him, but, you know, keep an eye on it. Smith Rowe's decent, but I think Martinelli is slightly ahead in the pecking order right now. Fornals isn't too bad, but ultimately it's Bruno Guimaraes who really stands out to me. McAllister at 5.5 isn't too bad. Norgard's decent. Buendia is fine, I guess. So really, to narrow it down, I think Bruno Guimaraes is first. Hwang Hee-chan, yeah, he's not bad. So yeah, Bruno Guimaraes is my answer. That's pretty much it. And then you've got a few others. Oh, this is actually number 2 for me. Wissa for me, number 2. So yeah, Bruno G or Wissa. All right, what else do we have in the chat? Any starting 4-point family midfielders? Colback is a shout. Andres Pereira if he goes to Fulham. And that's all thanks to all of you in the live chat who pointed that out. And there's also going to be a few others, I think, that could enter the equation. Force on this team: Martinez, Chilwell, James, Cancelo, Robertson, Martinelli, Neto, Son, Diaz, Jesus, Haaland, White. 4-point family midfielder. Yeah, forward. It's all good. Yeah, you've also got a bit of squad depth. I'd be a bit concerned about Ben White because Saliba could take his place, and I say could very loosely. It might be nothing to worry about, basically. But yeah, really good starting 11. I love the attacking line. Jesus and Haaland. The midfield is great as well with Heung-min Son. No Salah, pretty bold, but then again, you don't need him. Martinez, one of the first I've seen with Martinez. I really like that. Chilwell and James, really good. I don't have too many complaints with this team. No Trent as well, so some bold picks for your team, Ben. A bit concerned about Martinelli in terms of minutes, but I think he's one of the better 6 million options. A Gordon for 5.5 would be my choice. Fair dues. Yep, I think it's a good shout. Also Jacob Ramsey. Colback maybe, yes, for 4.5. Nicholas, I'm not ignoring Cancelo. He actually was in my team. It's just to afford what I wanted in the other areas, I just went for Laporte. A nice suggestion by Karaki. It doesn't mean I'm not going for Cancelo. Let me make that very clear. This is literally just, you know, the game has just launched. I'm making a team. Very rough. I'm going to make a first draft video where I'm going to put more thought into it, and there's probably going to be some changes, and I want to break down all of my picks, so don't worry about it. Like I said, if you can afford it, Cancelo is by far the best City defender, but Laporte and Diaz are decent cover for him. The same goes for Edison in goal. Best 5-point family midfielder, probably Wissa for me, but there's also Gordon and Ramsey. I think those are probably my top 3. Does anyone know why I keep saying bad requests when I try to submit my squad? The game's, what should I say, the site's probably crashing, Aiden. By the way, let me know, this is a really key detail. Do you have this new kind of graphics on screen when you're on the website? So it's not dark purple, it's instead kind of like white and light blue. If you still have the dark purple, be sure to refresh the page and then do your team again, because that's what happened to me. I wasn't able to actually, you know, move the site at all, and I had to refresh before I could proceed and make my team. The website's pretty much crashing. I think Brennan Johnson will go or stay. In terms of what do I think he's going to stay, but you never know in the transfer market. Things move very quickly, and he's going to attract a lot of interest after his incredible season, and also did very well for Wales in the qualifiers. Martinelli over Saka because Jesus will take penalty kicks. It's a good shout. I still like Saka a lot though. Having said that, you make an interesting point because Saka actually, a lot of his returns at the end of last season were from set pieces. You know, the assist from the corner against Everton, the penalties against United and Chelsea. So you could be right. You could be right. But I still think Saka is slightly ahead in the pecking order for me. Hey man, thoughts on Mendy, Trent, Trippier, Cancelo, Salah, Martinelli, Diaz, Neto, Guimaraes, Haaland, Jesus. Very solid. Obviously, you're a Toon fan, I can see that. And yeah, you got Guimaraes in there and Trippier. Really like it. You've got only one Chelsea defensive coverage, which is fine, by the way. I'm just interested that you don't have any of James or Chilwell. But really solid back line. I'm just wondering what your benches. If you have a Tomiyasu in there, I'd have no problems with your backline, basically. Salah, Martinelli, Diaz, Neto, Guimaraes, really good. Still a few concerns about Neto and Martinelli, I think. My preference is to have, you know, let's say Salah, Diaz, and maybe another 7 to 8 million midfielder, but that's completely fine, Alex. It's a great squad. I really like your forward line. Would you rather Kane and Son and Murphy or Salah and Diaz if you had to choose? I personally have Jota, can stunt Diaz getting points. It's a fair shout. I still would prefer probably Salah and Diaz still. But yeah, Kane and Son as a duo is obviously always going to be really appealing. But Arsenal just bought Ben White last season. You really think he won't be first choice? The thing is, though, Saliba has more potential, and what he did last season was incredible, and also the season before that. I'm not saying White is definitely not going to play. I'm not saying that. It's just keep an eye on the situation. And White can still get plenty of minutes, but maybe in the Cups and the Europa League, for example. So things can change very quickly. Saliba might get one opportunity and he really shines and he earns a spot in the team. And you never know. He could form a really good partnership with Gabriel. They're a bit similar in some ways, both athletic, but I'd say Saliba's even quicker. And I think he could be a really good addition to the Arsenal squad. Welcome, Keith. Thank you, Aidan, as well. Any 4.5 million starting forwards? Not really. Just Greenwood, you've got as a bench fodder option, an enabler. I don't think there's any starting forwards at that price. Main one right now is Raya, Caballero, Perisic, Walker, Chilwell, James, Trent, Saka, Salah, Diaz, Neto, Fornals, Undav, Kane, Haaland. Great squad. Not too convinced about Fornals, but it's really solid for the most part, to be honest. And yeah, I don't really have too many problems with the squad. Walker, keep an eye on him. If Cucurella signs for City, then I would be concerned about Walker, but really good. As a Newcastle fan, I'm so confused as to Murphy being picked. He's just really being picked because he's at the top of the 4.5 million scoring charts. That's literally it, Alex. I don't think he's going to get that many minutes. I'm not that convinced by all of the 4.5 million midfielders. He has a good chance of leaving and won't start. Yeah, that makes sense, to be honest. He mainly got a lot of the starts under Steve Bruce. And yeah, as you say, he doesn't really score or assist. Even started a lot at right back or right wing back last season, if I'm not mistaken. What about Undav? I like him, but the thing is, you can't have everyone. And look, if you look at my team at the moment, I've got Haaland and Jesus. If not, it'd probably be Tony. And I'm not that convinced, you know. Let me just make this clear. I think Undav will become eventually the main striker for Brighton, but I'm not 100% sure if he will be the main striker from Gameweek 1, which is what we're building our squads from at the moment. So, look, Undav, probably the best at 5.5, if not top 3, but be a bit cautious about it. Yeah, thank you, Karaki, thank you very much. And we are now on 75 likes, so let's get this to 100 likes. It really helps out the channel. So if you haven't already, you know what to do. And thank you very much to everyone who's already done so. Let's get to 15,000 subscribers and let's have a great start to the season as well. Alright, we're going to change this a little bit. Alright. Let's see what else. Trent Robertson, I think it's 50-50. Robertson had the edge from Gameweek 13 onwards. I think I'd go for Trent, but it's honestly 50-50. Yes, you have the new theme, fair enough. Yeah, I was only asking that because if you had the old one, then you have to refresh the page until you get the new theme, and then you're able to make some changes. Isn't Jesus' penalty record awful? Yeah, exactly. I remember him missing one against Argentina. He hit the post. Taken 12, scored 5. Yeah, that is right. He's got a poor penalty record. I'm not surprised by that. My guess is that Saka or Martinelli is the main penalty taker, but it could still be Jesus. He's going to be the main striker for Arsenal now. Rate my team: Ramsdale, Raya, Trent, Laporte, Cancelo, Agerd, Botman, Son, Bowen, Bruno Guimaraes, Trossard, Murphy, Haaland, Jesus, Surridge. Interesting choices in there. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Agerd and Botman right now, because why go for Botman when you can go for maybe Trippier for a little bit more? Let me actually check that. Is Botman 4.5 million? If not, is he 5? If he's 5, I definitely wouldn't go for him, mate. Let's see. Yeah, he's 4.5, fair enough, and he's going to be more nailed potentially than Cher. Okay, fair dues, fair dues. It's not the worst. It's not the worst pick there. Let's see what else you have. Trossard and Bruno. In terms of the midfield, I would probably make a few changes. Instead of Murphy, consider the likes of Colback. Haaland, Jesus, yeah, I like that forward line. Surridge, you could just go to Greenwood and save a bit more there, and it allows you to invest the rest of that extra money into other positions. I don't think you need Ramsdale and Raya. You either have 2 4.5 million goalkeepers or Ramsdale and a 4 million. I think you don't need that much money in your goalkeeper position, personally. With the loss of Rudiger and Christensen and Reece James as a new potential right centre-back, do you think Chelsea defenders are a risk picking? They're a risk anyway, because even with all these players that you mentioned that have left, Chelsea were pretty poor at the end of last season defensively. But I think Reece James will still be the main right wing back. It doesn't really make sense for him to be a right centre back. It just limits Chelsea overall. When they were at their best, should I say, last season, Chilwell and James were just bombing down those wings, and they were doing a great job. And I think Tuchel will just build the team off those two should they stay fit. So you're making an interesting point. I think Chelsea will make a signing or two at the back. De Ligt is linked, for example, but yeah, James is a right centre back. No, not for me. I'd be concerned with the the clean sheet prospects, but I think the attacking output will still be there. I like the change you made, Dylan, although I didn't like the transition from the starting student screen to your old intro, followed by another transition. Fair enough. Thank you for that. I'll bear that in mind. I appreciate the feedback. Who's the best keeper outside of Ederson, Alisson and Mendy? In FPL, I would really narrow it down to 5-ish. So Pope, Martinez, Ramsdale, Mendy and Raya are my top 5 picks. In terms of the best goalkeeper overall in the league, I'd probably say Martinez, but that's just my personal opinion. The most nailed on Chelsea defender, Chilwell and James, should they stay fit, and Thiago Silva. Those are the most nailed. I wouldn't go for Thiago Silva though. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's too much money. Is Neto the best 5.5 million midfielder? He's up there. I think he is. It's pretty much a really close battle between him, Gordon, Ramsey, and also Wissa. They're probably my top 4, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. But yeah, those are kind of my top 4. Welcome, Karl. Welcome, Ahmed, as well. Mason Mount, yeah, I'm still considering him. And also Maddison. Thoughts on going for Martinelli instead of Saka and Saint-Maximin instead of Murphy? Yes, you have more squad depth as a result, but I'm just not a huge fan of Saint-Maximin. I'd probably rather have Bruno Guimaraes, if I'm honest. Saint-Maximin is very injury prone as well, which does put me off. What do you think about Diaz and Nunez instead of Salah? Really tempted. Not for me. I still think Salah justifies the extra millions over the two, and I think there will be rotation between the likes of Nunez, Jota, and potentially Diaz as well. Do you think Salah's important for Game Week 1? Look, he's not an absolute must-have. I've actually made a draft, if you check out, for example, my previous videos and streams, where you can have the likes of Son and a really good team overall. But Salah tends to start the season so well, so I would try to have him from Game Week 1. But then you look at how he did this year, this calendar year, and since February, and he was pretty poor by his standards. So hard to get Son in the team. If you want Son and Salah as well as a premium striker, yes, it's really, really tough. Does Milivojevic still get a game for Palace sitting at 4.5? I don't think he gets as many minutes as he used to be honest. He's not as nailed as he used to be. When he's on the pitch, yes, he'll be on penalties, but honestly, you're mainly looking at Colback, Andres Pereira, should he join Fulham. But let me actually check. Maybe he is in the game and he's 5 million. I actually don't know. Like I said, there's a few things that I still need to check. Andreas, he's 4.5 million. That's a great shout. And if he goes to Fulham, that could be really, really good at 4.5 million. Yeah. So I'd mainly look at him and also Colback at 4.5 right now. What about Bowen? Really like him still at that price, but I'm not going to start the season with him when he starts with Man City at home. Look, he did a great job in Game Week 37, I think it was last season against City. He can definitely do it against anyone, but I think you can get more points from the get-go with other midfielders around the same price. Haaland, Ronaldo, Salah, Buendia, Bruno G, Saka, Matip, Robbo, Tomiyasu, Perisic, Mendy. Some interesting picks there, like Matip, but not sure about Buendia to start the season. Johnny for Wolves a shout? Yes, definitely. But then you've also got Lewis Dunk. I'd highly recommend him. Also Tomiyasu. Then you've got the wing-backs from Leicester, such as Pereira, Timothy Castagna, and James Justin. Nunez or Jesus? I actually prefer Jesus. $1 million cheaper, and he's going to be more nailed in my opinion. Yeah, Gordon. Yeah. Gordon, Ramsey, Wissa, and Neto. Yeah, I think those are the 4 I mentioned. What game week should we consider Everton players? Let's actually check the fixture ticker once again. Some great questions in here. So we're going back to Fantasy Football Hub and Everton. When should we consider them? That's a great question. I think let's make this a bit to game week 10. So this is the thing though, they've got some good fixtures from game weeks 3 to 5, but then after that it's immediately followed by Liverpool, Arsenal, West Ham, Southampton, Man United. So with Everton, we're probably looking a bit longer in terms of when do we consider them. I think we start to really consider them from potentially game week 8. And either way, I'm not that convinced by the Everton assets, as you saw yesterday. But look, they're second in the fixture ticker from game weeks 8 to 17. So bear that in mind, especially after the Tottenham game in game week 11. They've got Newcastle away, Palace at home, Fulham away, Leicester at home, Bournemouth away, and Wolves at home. Decent set of fixtures, but I'd still be very concerned, and I'm not a huge fan of the Everton assets. The main ones I picked out and highlighted from yesterday were Mykolenko, Pickford. Calvert-Lewin's too much money for me. Is there anyone else? Probably Gordon, and that's about it really. I'm going to go back now though to the website of FPL and see the rest of the Everton assets. Is there anyone that stands out to me? So yeah, Pickford in goal, Mykolenko for me at the back, Tarkowski's not too shabby. In the midfield, Gordon really. Demarai Gray's not too bad. Yeah, honestly, there's not too many to choose from. But yeah, those are the main ones. And I'd probably say game week 8 is when we consider them. Hey mate, good to be back in the stream again. FPL is back. How can I check my FPL ID? Go to make a team first, then go to the pick team section, and then on the right side you will be able to see view game week history right next to your name and your flag. I think it's just under it, and then you click on it, and then in the URL you will see a number, and that is your team ID. Bruno Guimaraes or Martinelli? If Martinelli starts, I prefer him, but because of my concerns about his minutes, I'm going to go for Bruno G right now, Thomas. Yeah, exactly, Harry. That's pretty much spot on. Saka, Tony and Perisic, or Jesus, Foden and Johnny. Really good trios there that you mentioned. I'd probably go for Saka, Tony and Perisic, but I really like both of them animations. Is Odegaard a good shout? Look, he could improve this season. I think he will probably get more goal contributions, especially assists, but I'm not that big of a fan of him FPL-wise. Everton haven't strengthened nearly enough so far to give us any confidence. Agreed, Rich, agreed. I'm just highlighting a few options to consider, and probably Game Week 8 is when you want to consider them, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of their assets. How many free hits and wildcards are there? There's only one free hit, Ben, and there are 2 wildcards, but there's also a unlimited transfers period from Game Week 17 to 17, which is when the World Cup takes place. So technically, we have 3 wildcards on top of the unlimited transfers we have right now, and only 1 free hit. Yeah, once again, like that's one of the main things I've got on with this team. No Cancelo. Look, he can still find a way into my team on my first draft, but it's really rough. If I want to get Cancelo, I need to downgrade someone else, and it's not that simple because I'm still not a big fan of these players. Let's say, for example, Rafinha goes to Chelsea. I'd probably do this. I'd go for something like this. Raya in goal, Caballero as the backup, Tomiyasu, James, Trent, Cancelo, Perisic, Saka, Salah, Rafinha. Let me get rid of Murphy, by the way. I'd probably go for Colback and Neto. So this would be it. And then up front, Tony, Greenwood and Haaland. And by the way, if Pereira goes to Fulham, I would maybe replace Colback with Andres Pereira. So yeah, once again, all speculation, all not confirmed. It's all in the works. Wood versus Saint-Maximin versus Wilson. Wilson for me is the best. Then it's Saint-Maximin, then it's Wood, Wei-Seng. I think Wilson, should he stay fit, will score the most goals and the most points. But once again, his injury record is very poor. Wood has the best injury record of the 3. Saint-Maximin and Wilson pick up plenty of injuries. Saka, Jesus. I still prefer Saka slightly, but I have to say I'm very tempted by Jesus' price, definitely. Jose Sarr, thoughts? He's a good 5 million option who I probably haven't discussed enough, but I prefer Pope, Martinez, Ramsdale and Mendy at the same price, to be honest. And also from game weeks 1 to 10, Wolves are joint bottom of United in the fixture ticker. Like I said, Weisei, I made it just clear right now, if he joins Chelsea, he would be in my team. I don't think I'm going to go for him right now because I think he's going to leave Leeds and probably the Premier League altogether. So, like I said, it's all speculation. And I was explaining how I would be able to fit in Cancelo into my team, which would be very difficult otherwise. I'd need to make another downgrade, especially if Rafinha does leave the Premier League. Jesus is a better option. Like I said, it's all in the air. I'm just not that convinced that Jesus is going to be on penalties. His record is poor, as rightly pointed out by other viewers as well. I'd say Saka, but I would expect maybe a bit of a drop-off in terms of the goal contributions, or at least not a huge improvement from what we saw last time out. And in terms of penalties, it's probably Saka or Martinelli. Jesus is still in the mix, but his record is pretty awful, to be honest. Welcome, Fabian. What do you think of Harrison? From Leeds, he's probably my top 3 with Bamford and Meslier, but still not a huge fan. I think Leeds is going to be better this year due to hopefully less injuries yet. Also, he has good fixtures in the start and might be able to shine more with Rafinha gone. He also had some good performances at the end, especially against West Ham, if I'm not mistaken. And Harrison was a fantastic option 2 seasons ago, but I still think I'd lean towards Neto and Martinelli. But definitely, Harrison from Leeds, he's one of the better options there. This guy is joining Barcelona, no chance of Finnish club. Look, Barcelona are arguably a Finnish club as well, to be fair. Best 4.5 million defenders, Tomiyasu, Lewis Dunk. I'd probably go for a Leicester fullback potentially, James Justin, Pereira or Castagna. Let's wait and see when we see who's going to be nailed on there. There's still a few more that I'm forgetting, to be fair, but those are the main ones. Fabian Schär's another one from Newcastle, and Botman. Thank you, Stuart. Much appreciated. Thoughts on Mendy? One of the best 5 million goalkeepers, but he's not going to make as many saves or get as many bonus points as Pope, Martinez and Ramsdale, who arguably will get more points than Mendy. So that's all going to be speculation. I wouldn't go for Mendy and a defender like James and Chilwell, though. I'd rather double up with Chelsea defence with the wing-backs rather than a goalkeeper and a Chelsea defender. I really like Maddison football, but because he's the same price as the others and has a bit of a shaky start fixture-wise, I don't think I'm going to start with Maddison just yet. But I really like him. Last question, Dylan. My team: Mendy, Trent, Robertson, Chilwell, Cancelo, Perisic, Salah captain, Saka, Neto, Guimaraes, Haaland. Really solid team. There's not much to improve on it, honestly. Like I just said to Thomas, though, I'm not a huge fan of going for Mendy and a Chelsea wing-back or full-back. I'd rather go with Chilwell and James if you wanted to double up on their defence. But it's really solid. And I don't have many problems with the team overall, honestly. Do you think Coutinho could be a good pick? Yes, of course. He's probably my favourite Aston Villa attacker. Having said that, my preference with Aston Villa players is with Cash, Luka Dean and Martinez. But certainly he's up there. And around 7 million, he's probably top 3. And if Rafinha leaves the Premier League, Coutinho might even be the best at that price. Ronaldo may be going back to Juventus, Fabrizio said, turning a club are in talks with Ronaldo for potential return. Yeah, it's a bit crazy, isn't it? I actually haven't seen that because, things change so quickly and it probably happened throughout the stream, but should be definitely one to keep an eye on, and I don't expect him to stay at United, to be honest. 8 Nuri thoughts. Look, there's a lot of options to consider. Yeah, he's another one at 4.5. Also Johnny, who can play on both sides. I think I'd lean more towards Johnny because he can play on the left and the right, as opposed to 8 Nuri, who might not be as nailed as you'd hope for. What about Son? You can't cover everyone. That's pretty much it. You can go for him and Salah, as well as Haaland, and still have a good draft overall, but you need to make a sacrifice in the defence or maybe elsewhere. Honestly, tempted to go with Rashford. I completely agree. Even if Ronaldo isn't sold, I'd expect Rashford to play on the left and potentially Sancho on the right to start the season, and I really like Rashford potentially. Yeah, Barnes could be interesting, and he's another one at 7 million that I've kind of forgotten about. That's a great point, Rich. Yeah, like I said, Rajesh, it's literally just an initial draft. I was just explaining some stipulations and stuff. I don't think I'm going to go for Rafinha. I'm just going to get rid of him, actually, because, just to make it clear. So, 7 million, I'm just going to go with what I had before, and then I'm going to get why Cancelo questions again, but there you go. I'm going to go for Laporte, and I'm going to go for Diaz, Saka, Mount. Let's go for Mount, just to change things up a little bit and have a bit of a different draft. So yeah, this is what I'm going to go for, and we'll make more changes, and I'll make a first draft video fairly soon. I've gone for Colback as my kind of 4.5 million midfielder, but as rightly pointed out by some of you, thank you very much, by the way, keep an eye on Andres Pereira. If he goes to Fulham, he could be the 4.5 million midfielder of choice. But I really like this team, actually. It's got quite a lot about it. Once again, just to make it clear, there are some concerns about Perisic. He could be rotating, especially if Reguilon stays at the club. Neto isn't the absolute best 5.5 million midfielder. You've still got Gordon, you've got Ramsey, you've got Wissa, and also you've got Martinelli at 6 million. Saka might not be as appealing this season. You've also got Gabriel Jesus up front. Tony isn't the greatest option now, especially with Eriksen on the verge of joining Man United. Haaland or Kane is definitely a great debate. Trent or Robertson's 50-50. Same with James or Chilwell. And then also the goalkeepers. I'm definitely not convinced or settled on a goalkeeper, because I'd love to have a 5 million goalkeeper, or even a 5.5 million potentially, but I'm mainly leaning towards a Raya or a 5 million one, like those I mentioned many times before. You don't need Salah, but I think I'm going to start the season with him. Still open-minded about the whole squad, the structure, and some players in general, but I've gone for something like this so far. Let me know what you think, and we'll be talking more about this throughout the week. What do you think about how Haaland's ownership will be? Well, at the moment, actually, let's check. His ownership is 57%. So really, it's going to be a really good way of protecting your rank in a way, but you can also gain a lot. For example, if you go for Kane, he goes off, does a really good job against Southampton. He's got a great record against them, by the way, and Haaland doesn't do that well against West Ham. And to be honest, I expect Kane to outscore him in Game Week 1, but from Game Weeks 1 to 10, so long as Haaland gets the minutes and he stays fit, I actually prefer Haaland. So really, really good one. I think Haaland's ownership will be 60%. Yeah. How do you rate Aston Villa defence? Not that highly, especially towards the end of last campaign, but I really like those wing-backs, Cash and Dean, and I like Martinez. I think they just have high ceilings and they don't necessarily need too many clean sheets to score highly. What do you think about Luis Diaz? I like him. I think he's going to be the main left winger, but with 5 subs, with the signing of Nunez, you've got Jota in there as well. Diaz might be a bit of a concern in terms of minutes, and he could also be safe for the other competitions, especially the Champions League. Thoughts on Sancho as a cheap price? I actually prefer Rashford, but definitely Sancho I would expect to be one of the most improved players in the Premier League this season, and definitely at 7.5 he could be a bargain. Really good shout. Kulusevski worth 8 million? Yes, but I think other 8 million midfielders are better because they're going to get more minutes. They're not going to be subbed off as early as Kulusevski probably will be, especially with 5 substitutions and the signing of Richarlison, which will definitely, that impact will be felt from Game Week 2 onwards, because remember, Richarlison is suspended in Game Week 1 because of the flare he threw last season. Welcome to Galactic Hobbit, good to see you. I feel like people are sleeping on Pickford. Yeah, Everton might improve this season, but it's all speculation, What if Everton don't improve that much? Have they made that many good signings? It's just Tarkowski, really. I don't really see too many improvements. They've lost Richarlison, who was one of their best players last season, so it's a good shout. Pickford's decent. He's probably top 3 or top 4 4.5 million goalkeepers, but I actually prefer Raya, Sanchez, and also the 5 million ones. Cancelo plus Cody or James and Laporte? James and Laporte for me. Rashford or Saint-Maximin? Rashford for me. Maybe, it's too risky, and Saint-Maximin's definitely more nailed, but I'd go for Rashford. Fabrizio Romano just confirmed Pereira to Fulham. Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. I really appreciate the updates. Like I said, I haven't been able to check Twitter as I've been going through your questions and, experimenting with this team. You know what? I'm going to do this then. I'm going to change Cole back to Andres Pereira. I'm actually pretty interested in that signing. So let's go for Andreas. 4.5 million, and then once he moves to Fulham, and once it's, changing in the game, he'll automatically be a Fulham player. No need for me to make any changes. So yeah, this looks pretty good. Thank you for that. His first fixture though is Liverpool, so it's not the greatest. Thank you for that. And this doesn't look too bad. Still, it's not too bad. Let's go through the rest of the questions as well. Do you think we keep underestimating Vardy? Really good point. He's Mr. Consistent, isn't he? The thing is, though, he's had a lot of injury problems in the past, and he is a bit, as you say, an awkward price point. Really good point. But yes, we do kind of underestimate him. And also Maddison. Both of them are fantastic options. Probably the best from Leicester in general. I have Kane and Haaland in my draft. Do you have a premium midfielder, though? Probably, but I like that, yeah. I love the way you pronounce Martinez with added Latin spice. Yeah, thank you, Rich. It's just, speak at home. I speak Spanish at home. That's literally why I do it. No flex. I put Trent and Robertson in my FPL. No problems with that whatsoever, mate. Liverpool have a great start to the season with fixtures, and those two are two of the best FPL options in history at that position. Yeah, Pope could be a good one, definitely. Especially when the fixtures ease up after Game Week 6. Yeah, he joined Newcastle. He's 5 million. Really good shout. James and Tony or Trippier and Jesus? James and Tony, but both of them are really good duos, mate. Would you take Pope or Martinez? Because of the start of the season, I'd take Martinez, but kind of a prediction here. I think Newcastle will finish higher than Aston Villa, and Pope will get more clean sheets from Game Weeks 1 to 38. But to start the season, Martinez. As a Newcastle fan, the only players I can trust is Trippier and Wilson. Fair dues. I do like Bruno Guimaraes, Pope, and also Fabian Schär, Botman as decent options. But yeah, I think the top two are arguably those that you mentioned there, Thomas. Emaz puts his team really good. It's very similar to what I've seen throughout, but I do like the Dunk pick. That is quite different. I think Dunk is fairly underrated. What I would suggest though, I mean, to be fair, you've already got Tomiyasu. You've got Sanchez and Dunk. It's not actually the worst thing in the world to have two Brighton defensive coverage, because let's say you start Raya over Sanchez, but then you also have Dunk come into your starting 11 and Brighton keep a clean sheet. You do cover that possibility, so it's not the worst thing in the world. I really like the midfield, by the way. It's fantastic. I like Salah, Saka, Mount. It really looks good. Undav is a great shout. Yeah, looks great. Who's Andreas? Andreas Pereira from Man United, Portuguese. He's going to Fulham, apparently. Unless I'm getting mistaken, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Andreas Pereira. That is who he is. What about Gallagher at Chelsea? Not really feeling him at the moment. Mount is the only Chelsea midfielder I'm considering, and the only attacker from the Blues who I would consider other than Mason Mount is Havertz, really. So yeah. Gallagher's not bad. You know, if he starts at 6 million, he could be gold, but for now, it's a wait and see. Both, I think, if you look to sign valuable striker and midfielder, yeah, fair enough. Luca Dean, yeah, look, he's decent. Great start to the season, and he had a very good end to the last campaign. But would I go for him over the defenders you see on screen? Probably not, actually. How about James and Chilwell along with Trent and Perisic in a 4.5? No problems with that. The thing is, though, I think City are a better defence than Chelsea, and they're going to keep more clean sheets. So I would rather... I mean, look, you make a good point, because the Chelsea wing-backs, what they offer you is not just the clean sheets, but the sheer attacking potential. So that is a fantastic point. By the way, I've completely lost track of time. It's almost 8 p.m, so we've been going on for quite some time now. Let's try to get this stream to 100 likes. Like I said, you don't have to, but it really helps out the channel, and I really appreciate just the simple act of liking the stream. So thank you very much to all of you. Is there a risk Perisic will get rotated? Yes, I think so. Last season wasn't the case, but with Reguilon at the moment, who I think will leave, but also Sessegnon, who had a really, really good end. I can't stress that enough to the last campaign. I think that Perisic might get rotated, especially in the case of Champions League around the corner and Spurs having an easier game on paper. They can afford to rotate Perisic, who is probably not going to play every single game. Diaz or Mount? It's actually really tough for me. I initially had Diaz, but look, I think Mount is going to be more nailed than Diaz. And in terms of goal contributions, I think Mount might actually pip him. But look, it's all speculation. You also have to factor in that Mane has left the club, and there's going to be more of an impetus on Diaz to get goal contributions than was the case when he first joined Liverpool and was acclimatising. Both great options. And I would say Diaz has better fixtures, but Mount is more proven in the Premier League. And it's really close between the two. I'm going for Mount at the moment. Let me know what you think of that one. KDB and Kane or Son and Haaland? I actually prefer Son and Haaland. Fair enough. Yeah, look, the KDB Kane thing, Cadhan, is more of a differential. That's what I really like about it. But Son and Haaland, I think, it just sounds really good. Any 4.5 million playing midfielder or forward? Midfielder, Andreas Pereira, should he join Fulham, which it looks like he has done, according to Fabrizio Romano. And also Colback. Forwards, there's none that I'm aware of. What do you think of Sterling or Ronaldo at Chelsea? I think Sterling would be really good as an FPL option once again. Ronaldo could be fantastic as well. He's always a great option to consider. But I still would prefer the likes of Jesus, potentially Tony, Vardy around a similar price. Then you've also got Haaland, Kane, etc. So look, as much as Ronaldo could be great at Chelsea, I would prefer others. Pereira's Brazilian, not Portuguese. Yeah. Apologies for that. Thank you for that as well, Wei Seng. Let me also deal with the other one. Rashford or Rafinha? If Rafinha stays in the Premier League, I would prefer him. But, a very big but, I'm very tempted by Rashford. It's just more of a differential. It's more of an exciting pick. And if he starts from the get-go, he could be the go-to guy. And honestly, I think Rafinha is going to leave Leeds and potentially go to Barcelona. Thoughts on Kyle Walker? Really good right now, but look, let's just break this down. Cucurella is probably going to City. And if he does, Kyle Walker's minutes will be affected, really. What about Rafinha for a Chelsea option? Oh yeah, look, that's what I'm saying. If he goes to Chelsea, I think he would be in my team at 7 million. Yeah, and I think he will be the best attacker alongside Mason Mount. Botman and Pope, only concern is they're not nailed for the first few fixtures. Yeah, fair enough. It's Burns and Dubravka's position to lose, and they'll be introduced slowly, much like Bruno. you might make a fair point, but with goalkeepers, it could be a different situation and Pope just comes in from the get-go. It's a bit harsh on Dubravka, he's been a good goalkeeper over the years. Have you heard about Mano Solomon? He's a young talent from Israel, just today loaned to Fulham. I actually haven't. I appreciate you letting me know. I'm going to check that out. And I think he'll be good for 5 million or less. The thing is, though, with Fulham, they're also signing Andres Pereira at 4.5 million. And if he starts, 0.5 million cheaper, I think most people would lean towards him, but definitely want to keep an eye on. I appreciate it. I'm not entirely convinced by Chelsea myself, to be honest, especially when they have not made any transfers in defence yet. Yeah, look, I really like James and Chilwell double up, but because I really like City's defence and their fixtures, I still really want a Laporte, a Cancelo, etc. Yeah, Stephen, really good draft. I like your forward line, midfield as well. But I would have a few concerns about Kulusevski and Martinelli. I think you could get better options than Kulusevski at 8 million, such as Mason Mount and Saka. And as for Martinelli, probably one of the better ones at 6 million, but you've also got Bruno Guimaraes, you've got the 5.5 million options like Wissa, etc. Keep an eye on Eriksen as well, once we get his price. Really like the defence. Justin could be really interesting. So, fantastic draft. I'm mainly concerned about Kulusevski and Martinelli, though. Thank you, the Flying Dutchman. Looking forward to the start of the season. Going on holiday this Friday. You're always on holiday, mate. But enjoy it, mate. The UK, decent, weather. Not the greatest. So, we'll be back around the end of the month. Yep. Enjoy your break, mate. And you'll be fully recharged by the time the season starts. If Ronaldo goes to Chelsea, he'll be a serious option. Definitely. But I can't help but think there's better ones in the other teams and also around a similar price. Ben White, good option, but I prefer Tomiyasu because I think he's going to be more nailed. All assumptions, of course. Tomiyasu is competing with Cedric on the right-hand side and also Bellerin at the moment, who I expect to leave Arsenal soon. But with the arrival of Saliba, I'd be a bit concerned about Ben White. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Undav 20 plus in Belgian League. Yeah, obviously there's a huge gap between the Belgian League and the Premier League, but he did score, I think, 25 goals, rising to 26 if you include the playoffs, and also 13 assists in the playoffs included, so really good stuff. Is there a way you could rate my team if you provide your team ID and I check it on fpl.team? But I'm going to do that more so in future streams and videos. I'll probably dedicate an entire video or stream and call it Rating Your Teams, so we'll leave that for another time. What about Joe Willock and Eze of Palace? I mean, Joe Willock is only 5 million and I think Eze's 5.5. Decent choices. I think they're just ones to monitor. Right now, I wouldn't go for them. What do you think about Jesus? I really like his price. I think he could be great, but he's also, you could argue, at a bit of an awkward price point because you don't want to invest too much in your forward line after what happened last season. Understandable. Think Ronaldo's so cheap. Could even see him under 10 million with enough price drops. Yeah, this is CR7 we're talking about. Of course, you're right. And in a better team like Chelsea, he could do even, he could improve on the 18 goals he scored last season and get 20 plus. But let's wait and see first, I think. And you still got Vardy, who's so underrated. He got 15 goals in 25 games last season. You've also got Jesus, who's much cheaper. You've got Haaland and Kane, who are probably going to be two of the best options overall. Do you think Sterling's a good option? If he joins Chelsea, yes. If he stays at City, no. Too much rotation there. Botman is going to be nailed. Yeah, definitely. It's just a case of him being eased in, which is the point that Alex was making, but that's a good point. What about Cucurella? I think he will join City, and he will... I'm not sure if he'll start most games, that's the thing, but he will be a great option when he does get the starts. And of course, 5 million is a great, great price, but the rotation would be concerning. Yeah, Pope we don't know, that's true. Wilson instead of Tony. I mean, look, I prefer Wilson as an asset, potentially, but my problem is the fitness and also the fixtures to start the season. Thank you, Rich, I appreciate it. I think we're very close though. Yeah, we've got to 103 likes. We now have 170 people watching, so thank you very much to everyone. Thank you very much, and let's try to keep on pushing and getting even more. What position does Andreas play? He tends to play on the wings, and also he has on occasion played as an attacking midfielder, but I think right midfield specifically is his main position. If anyone obviously has any update information, because my kind of answer to that was mainly based on 2-3 seasons ago at United and Valencia, then let me know. Do you think Jesus at 8 million is a great price? Yes, for sure. I think it's a really good one, and it makes it a real good option between him and Saka, who for me are the two best from Arsenal in the 4 positions. Yeah, so many streams to cover. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of streams going on right now. Do you think Jesus is a good... Oh, yeah, sorry, I just read it. Raya, Kulusevski and Tomiyasu, or Martinelli, James and Ramsdale? Probably Martinelli, James and Ramsdale, just because I'm not that convinced by Kulusevski, but both really good duos. Don't get me wrong, Kulusevski's still a great choice, by the way. Ben White, yeah, I'll answer that as well. Is Gazzaniga main goalkeeper for Fulham? It could be the case, actually. You know, the fact he left Spurs, he could be the main goalkeeper. And if that's the case, you know, not too bad. Is he? What's his price though? I need to check that. Is he 4 million? If he is, I'd probably try to find a way. Yeah, I'd just go for him in my team. So let's get him up. Fulham are really busy, right? By the way, yeah, he's only 4 million. That is interesting. That is very interesting. Who else do Fulham have as their goalkeepers? Let's see. Let's go to Fulham. Yeah, Gazzaniga. What am I talking about? Vanilla. Gazzaniga and Rodak. Yeah. I thought there'd be another option at 4 million. That makes sense why they signed him. Wow, that could be. Yeah, that's a great shout, Wei Sing. Really good shout. I'm going to add him to my team, actually. Thank you for that. Let me add him up. One Argentine replacing the other, by the way. So, yeah, another change made to my team. And there we go. There we go. What do you think of De Bruyne, Sterling and Kane and no Salah? Look, it's actually pretty interesting. I like the Sterling pick, but only if he joins Chelsea. And Kane and De Bruyne are really good differentials that could set you apart from the rest of the pack. But just bear in mind that De Bruyne, yes, he scored 15 goals last season, but I expect him to get more assists than goals this time round, especially with Haaland in the mix. And also Kane doesn't tend to start very well in August. Ori says Andreas is more of a midfielder from what I know, and Mano Solomon is a left winger. So myself, I'd prefer Solomon. Fair enough, fair dues. It's just that Andreas is potentially 0.5 million cheaper, pretty much. Well, that's his name, mate. That's his name, Dickello. Come on, let's not. Okay, I'm gonna call him by his first name, Paulo. Paulo. There you go. Paulo F. Paulo Gaza. That's a good start. Avoiding any trouble. Okay, love from India. What about Benrahma? Yeah, he does have decent fixtures, and by the way, really appreciate you stopping by. The thing is with Benrahma though, look, 6 million is a good price. He obviously had a great start last time out. I'm just not really feeling it, and another case of wait and see. Your team will have a lot of bench points in the first couple of game weeks, and isn't it better to find a bench option that rotates with your starting players? I mean, I'm not too sure about that. Andreas is just really a 4.5 million bench fodder. And also Tomiyasu, he will be rotating with the likes of Neto. That's really the main aim there, and a few others across the rest of the team. I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, the thing is, though, I like having a bit of squad depth, and I'd rather have the points on my bench because you sometimes need it. You know, there might be an occasion where someone misses out through injury or whatever it may be, and those points come in really handy. So, I don't know. I respectfully disagree. Will Grealish play regularly enough for Man City? Probably not enough for him to be a great FPL option, but he's going to get more minutes than last season and probably do much better. I'm not going to lie. I think Perisic is a good option. I just don't think he'll be that good. Yeah, I agree. I think he's a bit overrated maybe by some. But obviously, look, the ceiling and the potential is there, but it might not come to fruition. Yeah, I'm not sure about Perisic, fair enough. Is Martinelli first choice? I think he is over Smith Rowe, but he's not going to be nailed on, guaranteed start every single week. That's my opinion. Will Nunez start from Gameweek 1? I think so, but look, Jota, Diaz, you've got Fabio Carvalho, Firmino. It's not going to be that clear-cut, I think, but for me, Nunez will be the main striker. Foden or Bowen? To start the season, Foden. Well done, Dylan. Foden. But overall, my overall preference is Bowen. Yeah, Tomiyasu is injury prone. True, he is injury prone. And once again, you've got Lewis Dunk, you've got Ben White as well. If Henderson goes to Forest, do you think he's a good rotation goalkeeper? Yes. And also Nottingham Forest conceded the least number of goals since Steve Cooper took charge on the 21st of September last season. Welbeck instead of Tony, not for me, but he did have a very good end to the last campaign, yes. Nunez or Vardy or other options? Ronaldo, Jesus, Tony, Callum Wilson, all around the 7 to 10.5 million mark. But yeah, there's no absolute, let's say, clear-cut choice, I think. I think they're all really good choices in their own right. Yeah, I already answered that question about Benrahma. Tempted to swap out Haaland for Kane. It's not stupid because I think Kane against Southampton outscores Haaland against West Ham. Nobody talking about Gaza because he's all our hidden gems now. Yeah, it's a really good shout by Wes saying by yourself there. Yeah, I think it's a good one. Yeah, team ID, like I covered before, Thomas. You go to the pick team section of FPL, then check Gameweek history, view Gameweek history, and then in the URL you'll see a number. That is your team ID. Any recommendations for cheap midfielders? 5.5 million, I'd say Wissa, Gordon, Ramsey, and also I'm missing a name here, Neto, of course. And then also at cheaper price bracket, you've got Colback, you've got Pereira, who's going to join Fulham. And am I forgetting somebody? There's a few others, of course, that we'll be talking about more so later on in other videos and streams, but that's quite a lot of suggestions already. Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes is a good shout. It's a good shout, but I don't think you'd absolutely need him. James will be the Luke Shaw of this season. Oh, sorry, Perisic. He could be. I've seen a few people say that already. Robertson or Perisic. If you can afford Robertson, go for Robertson for me. And definitely have a Liverpool fullback for me. Opinions on Martinelli over Saka. Look, you get an extra 2 million as a result, but for me, Saka is definitely the better. Yeah. That's pretty much what you just said. Yeah, exactly. I still prefer Saka. But it might be a case of, look, if Martinelli's more nailed than we initially anticipated, then he will probably be the better pick in terms of value. Who can take Martinelli's spot besides Smith Rowe? Great question. I mean, maybe Saka. For example, Arsenal from time to time could. I'm not saying this will be the case, and I think Jesus will be the main striker, but he can play on the right. That shifts Saka to the left, and that could be what they end up doing. And then Nketiah plays up front. Or Arsenal sign a winger, maybe on the right, and that once again pushes Saka to the left. So that is the main concern. Fabio Vieira tends to play as an attacking midfielder just off the striker. If not on the right-hand side, he can also potentially play on the left, but maybe that is less unlikely. My FPL ID is roughly around 35,000, we're saying. Doesn't really matter anyway. Mahrez or Saka? Saka for me. Like I said, Thomas, I'll mainly check teams in future videos and streams. We've already gone through quite a lot today. Yeah, once again, another one here from Liam. Raya, James, Perisic, Trent, Cancelo, Sancho, Martinelli, Salah, Foden, Ramsey, Haaland, bench Olsen, Mateta, Vestergaard, Greenwood. Really good team. I wouldn't go for Vestergaard though. I know he's only 4 million. I'd actually rather go for the suggestions like Harry said, such as Nathan Patterson, who's probably going to get more minutes. I'd also consider Gazaniga, that's his name, instead of Olsen. And also Caballero. In terms of your starting 11, it's good, but I wouldn't be that keen on Ramsey as a starter, to be quite frank. But really good backline. I like Sancho. You've got some interesting picks in there like Foden, but I'd be a bit concerned about Ramsey as your starter. Don't forget Liverpool and City and playing the Charity Shield, so game week 1 will have the new players, I would say. Yeah, fair dues. That will be a great game to watch as well, by the way. I think Trippier's overlooked, and I think I might be biased, but he's going to be on corners, free kicks, strong backliner, potentially playing with both 6'5" Botman and 6'7" Dan Burn. I mean, will Dan Burn start? Let's wait and see. It could be Cher instead, but definitely, great shout. I think Trippier is one of the best 5 million defenders for sure. And also, Newcastle will probably keep more clean sheets this season. Like I said, Power, I'd go for Saka. I just don't expect Mahrez to get enough starts and minutes in the Premier League, but you never know. This could be a season. There's only 242k players. Wow, yeah, a lot of people are now signing up. How comes my ID is 245? It seems a bit random and also hasn't fully updated, Waysing, in terms of the player base. No Salah means I can get Kane, Haaland, Diaz, Saka and strong 5 at the back. I mean, you could go for it, but I still think Salah is that good that you could still just go for him. I mean, look, there's no right or wrong. I think there's actually a genuine conversation to go about him. Wilson, Jesus, Tony in attack. Really strong front line, but I just prefer having someone like Kane or Haaland up there. Just a personal opinion. Best 5.5 million midfielder, I'd probably say Neto, but another one that's really under the radar is Wissa. You got any goals for the season? In terms of the YouTube, to get 15,000 subscribers and then push on from there. In terms of FPL, probably to improve on last season's rank, which was around 15,000. So maybe get into the top 10k, but if not, it's not the end of the world. Are you checking people's teams? Not on screen, no. I'm on the FPL website. I'm showing my own team. I'm going to be wrapping up fairly soon anyway. We've gone through a lot of teams in the chat, and we'll be wrapping up very soon. Yeah, Tech, I already answered your question, by the way. I already answered your question earlier on. Thank you, football. What else do we have? You got... Oh, yeah, anything else to that? Oh, I forgot about Nketiah already, but signing Jesus to play out the right is a waste. No, I don't think it will be the case anyway. He gave an interview recently where he said his main position is as a number 9, and that's probably one of the main reasons why he signed for Arsenal. I think Mbuma might be a good enabler, definitely, but I would actually prefer Brennan Johnson and potentially, not Solanke, but maybe Mitrovic at 6.5 million. I feel like Son is essential. I don't know about essential. I think that just basically means you have to have him, but you could also have Salah at 13 million. You can cover him with Harry Kane. So I don't know about essential, but he's definitely very under the radar at the moment. Undav or Johnson? If I had to pick, I'd probably say Undav, but I really like Johnson from the newly promoted sides. Let's see what else we have. Rate my FPL team: Sarr, Trent, Cancelo, Reece James, Thiago Silva. I don't like Thiago Silva personally. I would rather go for Perisic. Kulusevski, I'd prefer a few others around 8 million. But I really like the forward line. I'd maybe reconsider and downgrade Nunez, and that gives you enough money to upgrade Kulusevski to potentially Salah or Son, and then you can also make the other changes I recommended. Chukwuemi, I'm really convinced he's going to get good minutes. Yep, he's another one I mentioned earlier. That's a great shout. Sorry for repeating the question, but Son or KDB? I prefer Son. Yeah, I'd go for Son personally. ID means nothing. Yeah, it doesn't really. It's just a number. It's easier to remember, I guess, if it's lower. Salah versus Kane captain. It's actually really close. If I had Kane as well, and I started the season with him, I actually would potentially go for Harry Kane, but it's really close. Laporte or Chilwell? If you have Cancelo and James, I would go for Chilwell. I prefer City's defence, but then you have Chilwell's attacking returns. Him and his ownership is 2%. Yes, he has easy fixtures, but only for the first 5 or 6. Over the first 10 game weeks, if you're looking longer term, Wolves are joint bottom with Man United. And also, to be quite frank, Jimenez was awful last season. Kane, Ronnie or Son? From those 3, it's probably between Kane or Son, and I would probably go for Kane. And then in the midfield, you can go for Salah if possible. Yeah, no worries, Tech. Like I said, the kind of thinking I have is rotating Tomiyasu with the likes of Neto. And I like to have one decent, bench option to improve the squad depth. It's always important to have those points when needed, when someone misses out. And it can be the case, especially with 5 substitutes this season. Yeah, I agree, Jeff. Not even Salah. And with Jose Sarr at the moment, yeah, he's another one that I'm not too sure about, by the way. Don't get me wrong, really good option for the first 5-6 game weeks, but Wolves were awful at the tail end of last season, and I'm just not really backing them to do that well. I need to see more signings from them. Thinking about Raya, but can't see where that 0.5 million will be spent more efficiently. Fair dues. With the kind of current squad structure I have at the moment, I am going for Raya, but I am tempted by a 5 million keeper like Pope, Martinez, Ramsdale and Mendy. Yeah. Son is definitely not essential, but a good option. Yeah, agreed. I still think he's a great option at 12 million. Some people are put off him, but I also wouldn't say he's a must-have. The top 3 best 8 million midfielders. Great question. I think it would be Mount, Maddison, and I would say Saka. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Diaz is really underpriced as well, and he's arguably in there. To start the season, it would be a different list basically, but from game weeks 1 to 38, I would definitely include the likes of Mount and Maddison, but I wouldn't start with them because I think the others that I have on screen, for example, will do even better. Yeah, Perisic is a defender. Yeah, he was a wing-back last season. It makes sense. Saka or Jesus? I prefer Saka, and also I don't expect Jesus to be on penalties. However, great price for him, and they're identical, obviously. I can see Nunez as a flop. It might take him time to adjust. I would certainly expect Haaland to do better of the two, but never say never. Aribo maybe going Southampton. Another good shout. There's a lot of transfer activity which will change our thinking throughout the whole summer, basically. Yeah, Vardy is worth a shout. Definitely. 4-5-1 probably could be the way to go, yeah. If not 4-4-2, which you can see on screen. And also, let's see, what else do we have? 5-4-1 as well. Yeah, good team, Jeff. I really like it. Anyone else? Look, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of having Mendy and then a Chelsea wing-back, but to be honest, it's still really good. I like the Chukwuemi pick. Yeah, it looks solid. Not too sure about him starting, though. But look, really solid. Rate this draft: Pope, Trent, James, Gabriel, Perisic, Doherty, Salah. Some interesting picks there, like Doherty and Pope. But I think I would start the season with either Mendy, Ramsdale, or maybe even Martinez instead of Pope. And then you could go for a Newcastle defender instead. Not too sure about Gabriel actually, although he was quite underrated last season. And as for Doherty, you could maybe stretch out to a 5.5 million defender. For some Palace and United rotation, they do rotate quite well actually. Rashford and Elise, not a bad shout, but I'd actually rather just downgrade the Elise position and maybe upgrade Rashford, or just stick with Rashford and upgrade another position entirely. It's not a bad shout, by the way. Elise is a decent player, but I'm still not convinced by him FPL wise. Thank you, Brendan, much appreciated. Thoughts on Dean Henderson? From the recently promoted goalkeepers, I think he could be a great shout. Decent signing for Nottingham Forest. Yeah, he was great for Sheffield United, so you could be onto something there, Yusuf. Definitely, great shout. First time Premier League experience for Perisic. Do you think he can adapt to the tempo? I think he can, especially in the Spurs team that are buzzing. They've made some great signings across the summer, but he might not do as well as we have anticipated over the last few weeks. He's definitely gotten a lot of hype. I don't think he's essential though, as some would suggest. Is that Man United Greenwood? No, it's Leeds Greenwood. Man United Greenwood wouldn't be 4.5. Yeah, sure, Marco, you can. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and DM me there, and I'll reply. I'll try to get back to all of you. Diaz surely over Mount and Maddison. Look, like I said, it's all provisional. It's not even technically a first draft. It's literally just like I've just made some options. I've created a kind of foundation. But yeah, it's really rough, and there's a lot that I need to think about. I might go for Diaz over Saka, for example, and stick with Mount. There's a lot that could change, to be honest. But yeah, I did have Diaz actually in my, I think in my first draft. If not, it was just throughout the last few days on fpl.team. It's really close between all of these options. Also Foden, don't forget Foden. He's also really good. I'm just slightly concerned about Diaz as an FPL option. I think he's good, and I think he will improve, but 4 goals, 3 assists, not the greatest. And if Maddison had better fixtures to start the season, I think he would be in my team, to be honest. But there you go. Let's add him for now, but it's really, really close between all of them. Honestly, I'm in two minds about all of them, as you can see. Can you confirm your team then change for free without taking the -4? You can make unlimited transfers, mate, Taylor. So don't worry, there will be no hits until Gameweek 1. Yeah, it wouldn't be in the game exactly, unless he is cleared. I fully agree with that. Nunez is not worth 60 million plus, and I think he'll flop. He could. I don't think he's worth that much either. A lot of Uruguayans actually have highlighted him as a bit overrated, and they said he was a bit of a burro, as they say in Spanish. I don't know if he's that bad, but let's wait and see. Rashford worth the gamble? I think so. I think he is worth the gamble. I'd like to see some starts in pre-season before going on to someone like Rashford. If Ronaldo goes, Rashford could become game-changing for 6.5 million. Either way, I'd expect him to start on the left-hand side. But whilst United's, look for a striker, if Ronaldo leaves, then yeah, he could potentially play up front and be out of position. Thank you, Marco. Just said that. What is the new league code? It's on the left-hand corner of your screen, mate. It's there. 86EX3J. It's also in the description below, so check it out. And you can see the new league. You can also just click on the link and you will automatically join. If you were in the league last season, you're going to automatically be in it again. So it's all pretty simple there. Cash, yep, one of the best at 5 million, along with Trippier and Luka Dean. But I'm not that convinced by Aston Villa defensively, and I prefer this kind of structure. Another one, for example, is Lewis Dunk instead of Tomiyasu. You've also got Cancelo, who I really want to have. If Man United don't buy a forward and Ronaldo leaves, Rashford looks like a really good option. Completely agreed. We'll play up top, and if Martial gets the odd game, he can still play on the wing. Yep, and I think Rashford will have a bit of a renaissance under Ten Hag. The same goes for Sancho. Time to spend some time to find out my own hidden gem. That's going to be the aim over the next few weeks. Ramit, we already answered that question, mate. Try not to spam the chat. Matty Cash, look, great option. And he's probably the best at Aston Villa. But, you don't need him. There's other options. And look, I'd rather him be kind of low-key and have low ownership, to be honest. And for him not to be discussed too much by others. But he has been mentioned in this channel before, especially in the price reveal section. But look, there's too many players to have. You can only have 15 overall. Why are people not going for Son? Because he's 12 million, pretty much. And also his fixtures aren't the greatest. It's really hard to have him and Salah, really good premium defenders, as well as Haaland or Kane up front. Yeah, Martial's back on loan. Back from loan, sorry. Yep, he is. Diaz is number one, Liverpool left winger. Completely agree, Jeff. I think he starts most games, yep, and can only improve. Some of his moments last season was mesmerising. Yeah, I don't think he's kind of like a goals and assists player like Jota, for example. If Jota was nailed, I think he would be in my team. As a forward, I'm a bit less convinced, obviously, but yeah. Caballero might be the best 4 million goalkeeper, but also Gazzaniga at Fulham. I think those two are probably the standouts. Opinions on Nunez? Not really. Look, he's someone to monitor, and I've said this a lot for a lot of these players, and that's really what we need to do with these new signings. But I just prefer Jesus at $1 million cheaper, Tony at 2 million cheaper. You've also got the likes of Mitrovic, Brennan Johnson, and a few others. I just don't know about Nunez at 9 million. I expect him to be rotated more often than Diaz, with the likes of Jota. Yeah, if Rafinha goes Chelsea, what position would he play? Probably still on the right-hand side. I've seen some people say attacking midfielder. He very rarely plays there. It's mainly on the right and sometimes on the left. To be fair, most Man United players will get a renaissance. Yeah, true. I mean, they can't get worse, can they? You'd expect an improvement, and Rashford was awful last season. Manchester City option besides Cancelo and Haaland, I would say Ederson in goal, Laporte, Diaz, also Phil Foden. And if you want a bit of a differential, Grealish is someone to consider, or Mahrez, but I'd wait and see. Harry Hunter, we've gone through most of them. Harvey Barnes differential, yep. I mentioned him in the price reveals section the other day. I think it was yesterday, actually, for Leicester. He's probably in the top 3 7 million midfielder brackets alongside the likes of Rafinha. Elanga, if you're looking for a 5 million midfielder, keep an eye on Elanga, but I don't expect him to start from Gameweek 1, personally. I think Liverpool won't reach top 4 this season. Wow, that's a big shout. I disagree, but let's wait and see. Yeah, it's Gazzaniga or Caballero, I think, for 4 million goalkeepers. Why do you have Andres in your team? Because it looks like he's going to Fulham and he could get some game time there, maybe on the right-hand side or just on the wings in general, and he's just a bench fodder option. It's not to be a starter. Rafinha won't go to Chelsea. There's still a chance, but yeah, I agree. I think he's going to go Barca. The thing is, though, they're just in absolute debt. Don't expect too much from commercial clubs. Yeah, a lot of clubs are commercial, though. Does the RCM stand for right centre mid? No, it's just initials of my name, basically. Cancelo, Laporte, if you can, Cancelo for sure. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, trust in Chukwuemi. Look, there's also Cole back, and there's going to be a few others that pop along. Yeah, Chukwuemi's decent. Zaha's also interesting, but I don't like Palace's opening to the season, and I don't know. I just think that Zaha won't do as well this season. Just a personal opinion. Yep, Rodney, it is worth it, definitely. But at the same time, you could also go for Cancelo instead of Robertson, or go for 2 Chelsea wingbacks. There's no right or wrong answer, but definitely it's a good way of separating your team from the rest. Why you choose Mount? I mean, look, I'm going to get questions about all of these players. Why not choose Mount? Look, I really like a lot of these 8 million midfielders. This is really rough. I have to stress this a lot. It's a really rough draft, but Mount is one of the best 8 million midfielders for me. And look, he's got a bit of a shaky start, you could say, in terms of fixtures. Who's Cole back? He's from Nottingham Forest, so keep an eye on him. He's 4.5 million. He tends to start games. But like I said, I'm going to do more research throughout the summer and try to pick out some more. Yeah, Solanke differential, but I prefer Brendan Johnson, actually. No problem, Ricky. Coutinho, good option. Once again, though, I would argue he's not my favourite. And if Rafinha stays in the Premier League, which is unlikely, he is my preference. Nunez will prove everyone wrong, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of doubters here in the chat, actually. I prefer Mount over Kai Havertz, mate. Michael Massey. Wow, Michael Massey on a... Hamilton fans won't be happy, but thank you to everyone for tuning in, by the way. We've covered this quite a lot. We're now at 8:20 UK time, 8:20 PM UK time, just to make that very clear. So we've been streaming for like 2 hours or something. I've lost count, actually, but I very much appreciate all of you dropping by. And I think we're going to be wrapping up. We talked about the fixtures early on. I made a draft. It's very rough. I'm going to make a first draft video where I break it down and I put a lot more thought into each pick, because it's, like I said, it's very rough. I have to make that very, very clear. But if you haven't already, you know what to do. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. And let's get this video to 150 likes. And let's reach some new goals for the next season. And I really much appreciate you dropping by. We've got almost 200 people watching. Let's keep on smashing the like button and reaching that target. And let's get to 15,000 subscribers. Best midfield 8 million. If I had to pick one, funnily enough, I think I would go for Diaz. Yeah, but I'm very apprehensive about that. I really like Maddison in general, by the way. Really like it, but not to start the season. Hamilton. Yeah, no, because of Michael Massey, yeah. Cancelo or Robertson. If you don't have Trent, I would go for Robertson, basically. I would cover Liverpool with one of their fullbacks. So in isolation, it's Robertson for me. Great stream, buddy. Thank you, Fabian. Much appreciated. Ruben puts his team. It's very similar to what I've read out throughout the whole day, really. I like the forward line. I'm a bit concerned about Martinelli's minutes. I think he won't be as nailed as you'd like. Perisic, just keep an eye on him. He might be rotated with Session or even Region if he stays. I like the team in general, but there's a few question marks around your team, which I just said. Good luck with that, Waysen. Good luck. Great stream. Yeah, thank you, Fabian, like I said already. Thank you, Alex, as well. It's always a pleasure talking to you and the rest. So all the best of luck for the new season, and it's been a blast talking to all of you. Let's get this stream to 150 likes. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM. You can also join the Discord server. The link is in the description below. And also you can become a Patreon or channel member. So just consider doing that. It really helps out the channel and it goes a really long way to boosting this. But all the best of luck. Enjoy the football. Enjoy your summer break. FPL has launched. There's going to be more content throughout the week, and also an F1 fantasy team selection video coming out very soon. But take care, enjoy the football, and yeah, as you can see, background noise is a really good way to end the stream. Thank you very much, mate. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.